Oh, shit, we got numbers.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to ClevelandMoto podcast number 505. Light them up, boys.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I got something all the way up.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Man, that was a very good team out on that one, boys. I'm very impressed with all of us.
I'm done. That's it. I'm out of here. Not gonna beat that.
Oh, my God. My Lord. What a day, what a day, what a day. If we sound extra damp here, it's because it's cold and flu season here in Cleveland, Ohio. We've apparently missed all the tornadoes, but we have gotten the gross inches of rain. So we are signing up. One of my customers came in today and said, this last 2 weeks reminds me of the 4 years I lived in England.
Oh.
And I said, well, there we go. To my immediate left, we have
Dan Kromke.
And to his left,
Steve, sleepy?
and with shit up his nose.
Johnny McElfresh.
And to his left,
Speedy Pete.
in the corner,
Chris Smith.
and behind the bar.
Tom Pennington.
Yeah.
Can we just say how happy we are to have John here after his little thing, especially on the 79th day of March?
Yes, indeed.
Oh, yeah. No kidding.
Yeah, it is wet, man.
I just had to get the fuck out of the house. I've been since Tuesday, I had the thing done, and I've just been sitting there rotting.
Tell the folks what procedure you've had done.
I had
Wait.
Wait, what?
Johnny Mac Cam.
Oh, the Johnny Mac
Cam.
So, I've been having, I have problems.
Tilt your head back.
Show the people at home what you're doing.
So
Spread your cheeks.
I've had sleep apnea problems, nasal problems, whatever. It's, I had deviated septum surgery and turbinate reduction with a DICE drug-induced sleep endoscopy. On Tuesday. Yeah, they stick a camera down you and they knock you out and they see how your collapse is. I have a lateral collapse with my thing, and so whatever, I might be getting Inspire or something like that.
Okay.
But right now I have 2 pen caps up my nose.
Right.
Because they're splints and they're keeping my septum straight.
What was funny was when you raised your nose to the camera, we could actually see some white stuff up inside of there. We could see some architecture in your nose.
Oh yeah. It's a treat.
Yeah, so if you pick your nose right now, you're going to die.
I can't touch my nose. If I touch the little plastic things like that, it's just tender.
Oh, that would be maddening for me.
Tickling you,
Oh, if he sneezes, one of us is going to take a mortal injury.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not black and blue, at least. It could be worse.
I didn't think I would be able to breathe out of my nose at all, but I actually can.
Yeah,
so that was nice.
Little holes in there for you. That's not too bad.
Inpatient or outpatient?
I was out. I mean, in and out. They put me under general anesthesia, and I went in and came out the same day. So that would be outpatient, right? I didn't stay over.
You didn't stay overnight. Yeah.
He doesn't have the funny gown with the back open anymore.
No. But I still got it. I mean, why did you have to get all that? When
Right.
they're working on my head.
Correct.
The rest of my body, they didn't have to do anything to.
Didn't have to touch it.
Hey, last-
White stuff nose, but not what you think. Scotch mode.
Not in a good way.
Did they let you keep the grippy socks? They let me keep mine.
Oh yeah, I got grippy socks.
Yeah. I got a grippy socks for my colonoscopy. I was rather surprised. I was like, "Is there any chance I'm getting out of this bed?" And the doctor's like, "No, there's no chance you're getting out of this bed." I'm like, "Then why are you giving me the grippy socks? You make me feel ambitious." And wouldn't you know it, I had the weirdest. After I guzzle, and I know Chris's wife just went through this. After I guzzled down a gallon of radiator fluid and did my business many times, and then I went in for the colonoscopy, and I got on the table. Or I got into the ready room, and I got in the ready room, and I was like, "Oh fuck, I'm not going to make it." Yeah. And one of the nurses come by, and I said, "Hey, I'm already hooked up to the plumbing, right? I already got an IV in my arm." And I said, "I'm not going to make it. I need to go to the bathroom." And she goes, "No, you don't." And I said, "Oh yeah, I do." And she goes, "Number 2?" And I said, "No, number 1." And she goes, "Oh really, number 1?" I said, "Oh, it's important. It's a full-on yellow alert." And she goes, "Well, okay, we don't normally do this." And I said, "Well, if you don't do this now, you're going to have a problem later." And I said, "I don't know how long you're fitting to have me in there." She goes, "Oh, it's going to be over like that." And I said, "But I'm going to piss the planet." And so they did. She let me get up and she let me walk with the IV thing, with the pole. I took the pole of shame with me into the little restroom. I had a very awkward pee. And then the problem too is you're wearing the gown, right? You're just wearing the gown. Your ass is hanging out, and that's fine. It's the ready room, and you're on deck with all the other players. And so I go in, and I'm like, but like when you pee, unless you pull that thing and stretch it and wring it out, there's always going to be a couple of drops after the game. And I even do like the push-up method. I do the Pilates, perineum push. I do all that stuff. And so I play the game, and I'm like, okay, good. All right, good job, well done. And then I could feel those, like, the last 5 drops show up, and I'm like, God damn it. Like, nobody wants to look like they're pissed their gown, right? So I would do the walk of shame back into the room. I'm like, okay, go back in. Lay back down on the thing. And wouldn't you know, I didn't even have 1 second to get my dignity together. They were standing by like a NASCAR pit crew. Like, when that guy comes out of that pisser, he's going in.
So we were talking about my colonoscopy with the one nurse, and she's like, they have to set a timer. They have to be up in you for 7 minutes.
What?
Legally, they have to be in you. They have to run because they would just run the camera up and run it out, and you'd be out of there in 2 minutes. But they legally have to stay. They have to go all the way up in there and come all the way out, and it has to take at least 7 minutes.
Well, I got 15 polyps removed.
Tanuki.
So
15?
Oh, we got Tanuki-san. Yay!
Ladies and gentlemen.
I'll drink to
Tanuki-san is up. We have to drink. Yeah, I got 15 polyps removed. Right? So there was a
You're
good.
an overachiever.
Well, there's a good reason they went up there, right?
Yeah.
So I think I got my 7 minutes worth.
Jeez.
Yeah, I got the e-ticket. Yeah, but it still was over in a flash, like
In and out.
in and out,
Oh,
like
yeah,
nothing.
no,
Yeah.
the second you lay down okay, this is going to burn just a little tiny bit. Okay, cool, now count backwards from...
I was no counting backwards.
You're on a rotisserie. You're in one of probably 4 or 5 operatories.
Yeah.
As soon as you lay down, as soon as they have you ready, the doctor
yeah.
walks in, zoop, zoop, up your ass, and
looked
fucking...
at the clock, and I made a mental note. I was like, okay, the clock says 9:05 a.m. I was scheduled for a 9 a.m. colonoscopy. The clock said 9:05. They apologized profusely for being late. 9:05, and I remembered that, and I went in, and I came back, and there's Merritt standing there, and I'm like, well, that was something, and I looked up, and it said 9:15.
Yep.
And I was like, that's impossible. There's just no way.
Yeah.
But that was like that.
And I was at the time, I wasn't
Yeah.
sleeping at all, and I was like, oh, I can't wait.
Put me
They're
back
gonna put
under.
me. And I'm like, no, I want to sleep. Well, let me out. They're like, no, you got to wake up.
I
I'm
felt like a rock
fuck
star.
you.
I strongly recommend colonoscopies to all my friends.
I had both at the same time, and it took less than 10 minutes.
Really?
They
Yeah.
went out, met in the middle.
They met in the middle. Just fucking hilarious.
You've tuned into Colonoscopy Talk with the boys from Cleveland Moto.
Hey, after the DGR, we are men of a certain age.
Absolutely
Right.
true.
Well,
hey,
Because
good.
they're recommending age 45 now. Time to go in. So anybody
I-
out there that hasn't had one at 45, you
Well,
need
and
to
I
be
put-
there.
And if you go in at 45, they'll tell you 50. Like they, it used to be like 40, 50. Now they're just
Well, after
I shit in a box and failed. Merritt shit in a box and fast.
they told me
I passed.
after I cannot remember his name, T'Challa. I cannot remember his name. It's going to drive me nuts. But
From
af-
Wakanda?
yeah,
Okay.
that guy.
Yeah.
But after he got cancer and passed away,
Right.
they were like, no, 45 now.
Okay. All right.
So that was the last IG or GI doctor I talked to. It was like,
I feel like mine was money well spent when they were like, well, we found 13 polyps. And I was like, whoa, okay. And they gave me class photos of each one of them. So I got photographic evidence of them. And they were all rather small and insignificant looking, but one of them looked like a thumb. And so the one that looked like a thumb, I was like, well, I'm happy we went there. Yeah. Yeah. The one that looked like a big fella. Like it was starting to develop eyelashes.
Chadwick Boseman.
There you go,
That's
Bozeman.
it. 'Cause, it's Scott's,
shit, it's
Scott's
right.
Moto Adventure popped up and said it.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Yep.
Chad McBosman forever.
After he passed away, they changed the age to 45.
It is just that. It is just that kind of a thing. We're going to start a podcast today by first of all talking about our butts.
Colonoscopy.
Well, no, a big thank you to everybody who did the DGR.
Well, Pete,
because-
Pete said something about he just went to got his prostate checked.
Oh yeah. What was the deal with that?
What was the deal with that?
So I went there, and the doctor said, try not to get an erection, Paul. And I said, my name is Peter, not Paul. He goes, no, I'm talking to myself. I'm Paul.
Love it. Wow, that's a good one. And today's news events, okay, I'm just going to say, I want to put an asterisk after the word KTM for the next 5 years. Because they have released news release upon news release upon news release. But my golly, by gee, by gum, 3 months ago, Tom was right. Tom was absolutely on the money. Yes, Tom, you get the absolute.
Hold on. First time in the history of the show.
Breaking news from Cleveland Moto Podcast.
I got it right.
Stefan Pierer, the guy who's been pulling our dicks for about the past year about the entire KTM thing. No, really, I promise you, I'll give you your money. This guy shouldn't be able to get a loan for a fucking gas card for the rest of his life, despite his billionaire status, because I pulled it up. There is a news story from not 1, but 2 days ago where he's being, oh yeah, everything's done. We're paying all our bills. We're good. We're being, business is being taken care of. It's going to be KTM just like you're used to knowing it. And now we have to say, if you would like a side of curry with that. Because, yes, Bajaj has come to the rescue. And Bajaj is now undoubtedly, unequivocally, the parent company of KTM. Done, according to the courts, finished.
Wow.
Right? They need to get some regulatory approval, of course, at this point. But this is the White Knight. You want to know who the White Knight is? The White Knight is riding a Chetak.
Well, now the foot pegs won't break. They'll just bend, and you can just put them back.
KTM, now made of bendonium. Right. The KTM 390 hasn't changed one bit.
They were always made of bendovrium.
Right. Yeah. This is a big deal. $901 million. Just a blonde one, short of $1 billion.
How much is that in rupees?
Oh, it's all of them.
Rupee.
Yeah.
They had to print more. That was it.
Yeah.
Now here's the interesting thing. The money. The money is just crazy. The money's insane that has changed hands thanks to this, Pierer, thanks to his behavior. His behavior, I got to say, he spent a government's amount worth of money in the past 3 years. He spent money that not only did he not have, but his investors didn't have, and nobody else had. And everybody was just willing to extend him that line of credit. And I guess when you're that guy, when you're a billionaire, people just are like, yeah, sure, of course I'll loan you the money. Now, in this case, a lot of people are going home penniless. But Bajaj did get the deal of the century. And I think it's like we talked about. We waited until they were financially fucked enough that by Bajaj got KTM for about 13 cents on the dollar. Yeah. Stefan Pierer will step down from the executive board of Pierer Mobility in June. Tough to step down from something when your name's on the door, right?
Mm-hmm. He's still walking away with his parachute intact.
He'll be fine. Yeah,
I don't
think
think
okay.
he's going to suffer for this.
Right. And what is funny was, he named that. He named his own replacement, who was a guy who was a president of the company, and so even that guy's down. He's gone now too. So he's out. The current CEO, that's Gottfried Neumeister, right? So the Bajaj company is doing a really good job, and they're going to get the reins of this thing. Quite impressed, absolutely quite impressed. In case you don't know how this is going to cycle out to people who own and ride motorcycles, in your brain you probably think of KTM as a company that makes very high capacity, high powered, amazing, ridiculous, punches way above their weight motorcycles. And that's the way we thought of KTM for a long time. When the first Duke came out, we were like, who would put that much motor on a super motard? That is bonkers. People are going to die. And really what it's going to come down to now is it's going to be a whole metric shit ton of small 400cc bikes and then a few of the 1200s and bigger. And I think that's going to be the flavor that Bajaj puts on it because that's what Bajaj makes their money selling. Bajaj has put itself in the position in the motorcycle segment, and we talked about this a few podcasts ago about, so you think 100,000 motorcycles is a lot of motorcycles. Well, that's a day for Bajaj. Like, that is very low production for them. So now that Bajaj has full control over KTM, don't be surprised if you see a hell of a lot of, 150 to 500cc offerings from KTM in every sort of flavor.
Well, they're already building the Svartpilen and Bitpilen for Husqvarna, and
how about two Triumphs?
Pretty sure. Well, and two Triumphs.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure Husqvarna is still under KTM, right?
How about an Aprilia?
Oh, yeah.
How about a Moto Guzzi?
Yeah.
Right. Those are all Bajaj.
Yeah.
Not the big Moto Guzzis, not the big Aprilias, the little ones, the little 457s.
But that's the thing
Yeah.
is now they have a brand of their own. It's not just we're building it for somebody else.
Exactly.
Now
Right.
they have KTM as okay. KTM is now KTM Bajaj.
Yeah.
Do they also get
Mm-hmm.
Husqvarna in the deal?
Why
I
not?
assume.
Because
Because it's not like Husqvarna has two pennies to rub together.
Yeah, that's the point. And you know, they heroically sold off Husqvarna and they heroically sold off MV Agusta. How long before the people that bought those back at discount prices are tapping at Bajaj's door, going, "Well, we own them, but we'd really like to build them."
Right.
Right? Can you make them for us? Right? Because neither of those companies built factories; they just bought the name back. Right? So there weren't any places to build them. It's not like they got the name back from KTM at fire sale pricing.
Was there tooling and stuff
So
like that?
yeah, because so MV Agusta was at the AIM show showing you all the stuff that you could buy.
Yep.
So what are they doing?
Well, like, news at 11, I guess.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
We'll find out soon
Right.
enough.
Right. So when
Well,
KTM
first, we're going to sell all the bikes that we've already built,
Right.
that are already
Correct.
built, and then we'll worry about it from there.
You know, it might end up in a Moto Morini situation with MV Agusta is what I kind of see. Is
Yeah, I think so.
Songshin or somebody like that buying it.
Yeah, you're right.
But Husqvarna has nothing. There's no traction at all there.
It's not the kind of thing that there's enough quantity
Yeah.
or enough volume being sold per year to even worry about. But it is something. It's a hell of a thing when you think about the irony of that is we tease and tease and tease about how India has bought back its sovereignty from being a part of the crown, right? And carrying the mantle of being like, oh, well, you know, Britain owns us. You know, England owns us. We are part of the United Kingdom, and we are in servitude to them, to now, oh, would you like a Jaguar? Well, you have to buy it from us.
They own England.
Well, and would you like a Triumph? Well, we do those too. You know, would you like a Royal Enfield? Oh, yeah, we've been doing that forever. Right?
Now, if they could just buy BSA and Norton.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah,
Could they
Britain-
buy like Tetley Tea Company?
Right.
Right. What are quintessential British things that the
Marmite?
Yes.
They are now Indian bulldogs.
Right. Every time you paint a picture of a British bulldog, you have to have the copyright, a little Indian
Yeah.
copyright slogan behind it. Yeah. So I also wonder if they're going to do a push because, you know, like we get used to terms like KTM Bajaj.
Yeah.
Right. So we get used to those kind of terms. And I wonder if Bajaj is going to make the point of being like, oh, it's Bajaj KTM. Like they're going to force people.
Hey, they own it. It's up to
That's
them.
the thing, right?
Well, because we all got mad a couple of years ago
Yeah.
when the son took over Bajaj, and he said no more scooters.
That's right.
And everybody went, "Are you crazy?" Because
Right.
in Indian culture, I know this because I have two of them out in the garage. The cheetah was what you gave people for weddings. You got a cheetah as your wedding gift, and it always struck me as weird until I talked to somebody like, "No, that's really the thing."
It is.
And then the son took over, and he was like, "We're only building motorcycles from here on." Now there were 125s, it's the Quasar and stuff like that. But he quit building cheetahs, and that's like saying, "Well, we're not going to build Ford anymore."
It would be like Coca-Cola saying we're not going to make that cola drink anymore.
Yeah.
It's going to be done. We're now only
We're
going to
only
make
making alcohol.
iced tea or whatever. Yeah.
Chakatum.
And so for now it's kind of
They add the cha.
The
From
cha.
you know, like remember their scooter. So then you just add the KTM, so it's Chakatum.
Check to come.
So-
I think like forcing all the media outlets to say Bajaj KTM.
Yeah, that's
is
probably
just
it.
because you know, not too many people know it, but we made sure to give you the information. If you count KTM's, it won't take you that long.
Yeah.
If you count Bajaj's, you're going to be here a while, right?
So LML that built Stella's, they're still around?
Oh no, it's gone.
That's long
They
gone.
they raised the factory down. It's
They
like
did.
you know, it's new housing at this point.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
They did 4 strokes for a little while, and then they're done.
Yeah, I think that entire company was drawing its last gasps in 2014, 15, 16. And they were really, there are a lot of news stories, and we might even talked about in the podcast 1,000 years ago, about how the workers that were building the Stellas for the United States market they had strike. They'd refused to go into work. And the police showed up at their door and said, get out of bed, get your clothes on, you're going to work. And that's what they did. And so the bikes were built under protest for the last little while. And that's why we were seeing some insane shit. Like we would take a brand new vehicle out of the crate and there would be just crazy shit in there. Like somebody's lunch would be stuffed in the glove box. Like there was trash. People were filling the bikes up with trash out of protest. They were building the bikes under protest.
This also explains the
And we were
Bajaj
seeing a lot of weird
automatic,
shit.
which was basically trash anyway.
Well, I think that...
Nobody's building a shifty scooter anymore.
I don't know. I don't think
Can't
so.
buy a shifter.
Yeah, I don't think so.
What about the Italia jets? Those are not.
No. I mean, well, okay, when you get up to something like, what is the Italjet 750 or 500 or something, that is a motorcycle engine, yeah, those are going to be shifties because they're motorcycles.
Okay.
They're just motorcycles with slightly smaller tires. The smaller Italjets are going to be the SYM HD 200 motors and Piaggio 300 motors. So those will be automatic. They'll be what they are. But there's a point in that Italjet family tree where you get to the point where it's just a fucking mutant motorcycle at that point. Then they're going to be shifties.
So a scooter with a clutch is a thing of the past.
I think so. I do think that is a gonzo thing. It's really weird.
Greg O'Hanna has a good question. Is BSA Mahindra?
Oh, I don't even know. Jesus Christ. How do you tell the score player? The
Oh.
players without the scorecard.
He's absolutely correct.
Is it?
And
BSA is
I
owned by
did not know
Mahindra?
you could buy a new BSA Gold Star.
Yeah.
But it's owned by Mahindra.
Yeah, it's Mahindra.
So,
Yeah.
ta-da.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what that was, and I wasn't sure without looking if BSA was a brand engineering of a Chinese company. And I also want people to not forget that this whole thing about Bajaj buying KTM comes less than a week after the news hit Europe that KTM was no longer going to be selling CF Moto in Europe.
Let's look at what a BSA. You can buy a brand new BSA.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. In England, not here.
You know, because I'd like to change the subject from anything to except KTM or Harley Davidson. Or anytime I get a chance.
Or colonoscopies.
No, colonoscopies are fine.
We can talk about that for another hour.
Exactly.
That'd be the shit.
The
What a shitty podcast.
Back to Triumph and Guzzi.
Yes, exactly. So I'll try to pull up a nice picture for us. At around 54.99 pounds sterling. Wow. Let me see here.
Are you hooked in?
I'm going to read you the quote. Oh. You can go ahead and throw it.
Are you hooked in?
Yeah, I am.
I don't got anything.
Oh, that's weird. Let me go ahead and let me unhook us and rehook us. Yeah, it's fully hooked in now. All right. Breaking news. Breaking news. Breaking news. Okay, this is direct from their website. I love I love copy like this. For us, the new BSA Gold Star is not just a motorcycle, but an emotion. And we pursued the journey of bringing BSA back with utmost passion. Now, based on his name being Ashish Singh Joshi, I might have wanted to impart a certain accent on that, but I'm glad I didn't. So there it is. It's gorgeous.
It is.
It is beautiful.
That's not a bad looking
That
bike
is
at
a
all.
gorgeous looking
It
motorcycle.
looks like a BSA Gold Star.
It is fucking brilliant. That is insignia red, and I got to see it in Dawn. Oh, Dawn Silver's so good. Highland Green
there's
is so
more?
good.
Oh, okay.
Oh, look
hold
at that thing.
Oh,
The
wow.
Silver Sheen Legacy Edition. Oh, she is pretty. Oh, that's a pretty bike. Yeah, that is every bit of what you'd expect that to be.
Oh,
Be
there
a
you
BSA
go.
dealer.
Yeah,
That is
man.
really, really pretty.
If
That's
it
a
even
nice
just-
looking bike.
If it runs for like a year or two, I'd still buy one because it looks so good.
And they did nail the look of the motor. They really did. They did capture that because I've owned a Gold Star and I've owned a Royal Star. They nailed it.
What's
I
the
bet
price
that's
on
fuel injected.
$54.99 in pounds.
Hold on, we got an opinion
Yeah,
already.
okay,
coming
go
in.
ahead.
Here you
Lay it
go.
on me. The new Gold Star is so bad the BSA dealers won't take them back as trade-ins. Customers are very, very angry.
And Greg's checking in from Ireland.
He's
so he
checking
gets-
in from
he gets
Ireland.
First-hand account.
Just like Tesla.
I guess the British flag flying up at the corner of the the suspicious British flag up in the corner of the copy should have warned us off. Oh, so yes, how quickly our dreams go to dust.
It looks good.
We will take your advice. It does
I mean,
look,
if you're looking for a mantelpiece motorcycle, maybe something to put in the old bar or
but
something.
eventually I would like to ride it.
That could sit in
And-
the corner of a coffee shop somewhere.
That would
Yeah.
sit quite nicely in the corner of a coffee shop. Yeah. So, but I'm probably going to buy a 1970 Triumph TR6 on Monday.
Oh, no.
So we'll see whether or not we'll see how strong the economy is on Monday, right? I predict this economy will be sagging on Monday, right? But
Time to order some Whitworth tools.
it is no shit. That's exactly right. Thank you so much for reminding me of that, Dan. Because you've still got your old Triumph, right? And what year is yours?
64.
64.
Why
Yeah.
are you buying a Triumph?
It's one of those first right of refusal deals where it's Will Stoner's bike.
Oh.
And so he'd given me first right of refusal years ago, and it's finally happening.
Okay.
But what's happened is I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago.
So when is Joka Solo coming up to get it?
Yeah, thanks. It'll be another one that's like, yeah.
Hey, Joe, what do you got this week?
Hey, Joe, guess what, buddy? I just paid too much money for a motorcycle for you. Wow, that's good to hear that they're horrible. I'm really happy that they're horrible. For me personally, that's nice.
Oh, too bad Grumpy Sir Guy's not here. Does SWM still make the 100cc Wolf? Isn't that what Steve had, or do you have 100?
That was SYM who made the Wolf.
Sam
Yeah.
Wolf was
Yeah.
was a 125.
It's not a 100. It's a 150, I think.
Yeah,
Oh,
150
right.
Wolf.
Yeah, because it was
And
better
he-
than the.
He still has it. He bought it back.
Oh, those are really cool bikes.
Do they still make them or no?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think they still
This
make
week,
them.
I mean, Sim's only been through 3 different wholesalers. Did this one burn down yet? Under accidental circumstances?
Hopefully not. Right?
They do still make the Laser 6.
That's SSR is selling the Laser 6. I still get phone calls on that. And every time I get a phone call about the Laser 6 moped, a bike that Steve loves very, very much, what happens...
not me.
Hoffert, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every time I get a phone call about the Laser 5 or the Laser 6 moped, the phone call is always the same. I want to buy that bike. And I'm like, okay, great. Why? Well, because I really like the way it looks. No, that's not why you're calling me. Why do you want to ride the bike? Well, because I like small displacement motorcycles. That's not why you're calling me. Why do you want to buy the bike? I lost my license. Ah, now the truth comes out. You want to go to work and you don't want to ride a traditional moped. Yeah, and you heard that these have pedals. Yeah, and nothing else on the planet has pedals these days except for electric bicycles. You're right. Okay, so do you want one that bad? I do. They're about $2,500 out the door. Okay. It goes like 35 miles an
they're
hour,
absolutely
top
horrible.
speed downhill with tailwind. Okay. And we will never work on it for you. Ever, ever again. It is done. You are a fucking orphan at this point. Nobody loves you. You can throw the picture up. And this thing does, in fact, come with pedals. And if you look extremely carefully, you can see them. They're hiding. They're in their hidden position. Now, here's the irony, is those pedals are hooked to a crank. And that crank does not have a chain on it. The bike does come with pedals. There is no means of making the power that you put through those pedals go to the back wheel at all. Period.
And it would go faster if they did.
Yes,
Well,
absolutely.
that's called the loophole. They must have not said that you had to have the pedals. Just said must have pedals
Must have pedals.
because they assumed that that would.
And that's the way this bike comes. This bike comes with pedals and no method of moving the energy from the pedals to the back wheel. And of course, they show in the picture, pedals are equipped, which is real. I always get a laugh out of that picture when I see it because I'm like, yeah, that's great. That's so you can try to legally sell it in states that do that. But guess what?
Where's that chain going?
That's the point is in this particular image, there is a chain there, but when you'll be opening up the crate for that, you will not be having a chain. You will be having to supply that yourself because you can pedal on that thing all you want. You can't make it go
Well,
forward.
yeah, because Pete's right, because that's the side that the chain is. The actual drive chain is on. So are they connecting a 120 chain to a 420 back? What are they doing over
No,
there?
that's not happening.
Yeah.
Right. That is not happening. So in other images, you'll see
You have
it.
to switch. You have
Yeah.
to switch the chain over.
That is exactly correct.
So you go from putting the chain on the motor to switching it over, and then you can pedal it.
That's exactly
you
right.
can't do both at the
You
same
cannot
time.
do both at the same time.
I don't know about the Laser 6, but the Laser 5 also had the really clunky dual range transmission where you had to physically move.
Physically had to move the lever. Yep. Yeah.
on,
You had to
man.
go from low range transmission where it was legally under 25 miles per hour for most states, or you could switch it over to high range transmission where it'd go up to like 35. Yep. Yeah. This is all that stuff that they're just building a bike to dance between the raindrops for people with a DUI.
That thing looks like a mentally challenged offspring of a Janice.
It does. It absolutely
Well, Honda made
does.
something. Steve liked it because Honda made something exactly.
They made a version of it. Yeah.
It wasn't the SS. It was. I forget. I can't
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah. But there definitely was a Honda that was in that, of that ilk.
That's like a copy of the Honda.
It sure is.
Well, that's
Yep.
kind of what China does.
It's kind of the game.
Yeah.
What?
Hey, Chris, can you talk to us about what Janice has got going on,
That was a
buddy?
Tanuki. I didn't even.
Tanuki. Oh, Tanuki's
Late.
potting. It's okay. He's gone now. Talk to me about Janice.
Yeah, so we got an invitation to come to the Janice rally and do a podcast out there. September 19th, which is a Friday. It's kind of they're throwing it out there to see if we would like to do it. They'd love to have us out there, but that would involve, I'm presuming, driving out there and sitting around and entertaining their crowd with the ClevelandMoto podcast. And so I just wanted to throw it out there. I talked to Grant today. Mm-hmm. He just wanted to check and see what the level of interest was. And
And
So
when
there
is
you go.
when is that event?
September 19th.
September 19th. Okay. Well, that's easier for me for sure because September we've got some time. We've got some holes in our schedule. They aren't too bad. Yeah. So September does work for me a lot better than like if it was June.
And
So
Cinch, I was thinking if we decide to do this, you could kind of dictate what kind of equipment they'd have to have available for you to
Well, I
to
mean,
broadcast it. And you don't have to talk about it now, but
no, but I was just thinking if we do a remote one like that, it would just be much simpler. We just take one or two things, set it up, and
Right.
it wouldn't be that hard. Especially with your
yeah, we have an
roving-
8-channel road unit, so we could
Yeah.
do that and then just do one line out to an amp or something.
or
It's
even
not too
yeah, but
bad.
we could also stream it if they have Wi-Fi.
Yeah, if they
so
got
as
good
long as I
Wi-Fi.
have an input, I mean, it might not be as pristine as we usually have it, which will drive me fucking absolutely crazy. But all right, anyways,
Well, that's a really good invitation.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that.
sounds fun. Actually.
And in the People Love Us column,
hey,
Dan Davis, one of the folks at the Crawford Auto Museum, who was present with his spectacular mustache at the DGR, on Tuesday, I was delivering mini bikes. I was delivering my 2 de Blasi folding mini bikes and
yeah.
my Moto Campo to the museum, the Crawford Auto and Aviation Museum.
that's got to be a little bit exciting to have your stuff in there.
It is always. It's always exciting to know, like, hey, they like my shit enough to put it on display.
Yeah.
And super cool.
But it's also not like Bob's House of Motorcycles
Right.
Museum on the corner. Like this is like a nationally known.
It's a big deal.
Kind of deal.
It is a
Yeah,
big deal.
Yeah.
And it's a big display.
how long are you leaving them there?
17 years.
Okay.
Or until they sell, whichever comes first. Oh, you want to buy those? They're at the museum. Go buy admission. You'll be fine. But they're there as long as they want to have them. I'm cool with that. I think it's great. I like helping that museum. They do a lot of cool shit. But because that is their mini bike display, they're doing a whole mini bike thing.
Did you say the Moto Campo is going there too?
The Moto Campo is there. It's already there. Yep, it's already there. It's being stolen as we speak. The deal is, last month their big thing, or last quarter their big thing was all the Mustangs, right? So they had all the Mustangs there. That was cool. Years and years and years of different Mustangs. Well, they're doing the mini bikes. So they're going to have a big mini bike display, which is kind of funny. Big mini bike display.
Big fun on little bikes.
Big fun on little bikes, exactly. And they've got a lot of cool mini bikes there, by the way. However, Dan Davis extended his personal invitation to those of us at the table if we want to record at Crawford Auto and Aviation.
wow.
And he
Shit.
said they've got so much Wi-Fi there that we'll have no problem going live.
That'll be fun.
Oh,
Fantastic.
I'm 100% into that.
Doesn't that sound great?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
It's like equivalent to like when the Cleveland Orchestra plays like in a
It is.
museum or
Yeah.
something. Same thing.
The same thing.
Exactly.
Well, they're going to have the same people showing up. The orchestra crowd is going to show up to see us dumb shits do a podcast.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun.
Oh
Live-
man,
play us out, John.
you know what we should do? We
Live-
should like flyer the area, but make it with like NPR stuff and just
yeah.
make a different name for the podcast.
yeah.
Like witness NPR's own The Wild Bunch.
Fucking Cleveland Moto podcast leaves everything to the imagination, right? It does. You could advertise us as being like socially responsible for change in our society.
Yeah,
right.
whatever. But dude, the crowd. Oh my god, that would be so interesting.
We're environmental.
They
and
have to be good. They're at a museum.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Oh, pourquoi?
Right. Exactly.
Well, hey, we'll have to rent tuxedos.
Oh. No, tuxedo t-shirts.
Oh, yeah, one of those tuxedo T-shirts.
Yeah.
I already
Seems
have the
like-
jacket.
Seems like a good opportunity for tuxedo T-shirts at the Crawford, right?
Yes.
Or classes
Oh
up the
my
Crawford,
God.
right? I think
I'm
it's going to be a
in.
really good time. So we just got to figure out when we want to do it, but we have to do it while the display is running, because it's a mini bike thing.
Yeah.
Oh
Right.
man.
And I mean, he knows who we are. He knows what we do. So, sponsored by Clams Cave.
Bringing it back.
That's Moto Smith Garage throwing down a big one.
This will This will be one of those podcasts where Greg is like clawing at the door waiting to get. Come on.
Oh, by the way, yeah, if that's one of those ones, if we don't have Greg there, he will die. but guys,
it's my thing.
Here, this is my
Dude,
thing.
he is
10
creating.
of those bikes are mine.
He is creating some cool ass mini bikes.
absolutely.
Man.
I don't think
he
anybody's.
deserves the name that he has, man. 100%.
I don't think
That's
anybody's
his full-time
done
job.
better.
I know. It's amazing. If you're gonna do it, become a full-time professional mini bike
I don't
guy.
think anybody's done it as well. That's just what it comes down to. That is a real thing, and it seems super fun and super cool.
Yeah.
So that's great. That's awesome. And we might be able to get shit faced in the bottom of the Crawford again. Because Tom and I last time,
Oh, yeah.
we were like, wait, open bar?
Lit like a firecracker.
Okay, Moto Go's not so bad at all. Let me tell you. And John will fall asleep at the museum.
Yes, sir.
John Straw Dog. All right.
That is so true. Oh my goodness. So, a safety note for folks. You may be aware that on planet Earth, there are these devices called hitch carriers. And hitch carriers are a way that you can put your motorcycle sideways on the back of your vehicle, right? And, in some way, shape, or form, they all kind of go into the hitch on the back of your vehicle that's already there. Now, this is where I have to remind folks that there are rules. And the rules are there for your protection. And why are the rules so fucking important? Well, because we had somebody show up at our shop, who's going to remain nameless, who showed up with his Subaru Forester. Which I checked, and a Subaru Forester does identify as a sport utility vehicle or a crossover, right? We can agree to that. Subaru Forester, sport utility vehicle.
I'd go with CUV, not SUV.
Crossover.
Yeah.
Right, crossover. We can all agree, crossover. And on the back of that vehicle, Jesus Christ and Subaru himself put a hitch, 2x2, 2 inches by 2 inches, a device on the back, what for holding things. A receptacle on the back, what for holding stuff. And that was optimistic. And why was that optimistic? Well, it was optimistic because it turns out that box on the back, it doesn't really hold what you would hope it could hold. That box on the back, which is the industry standard 2 inches by 2 inches in size, is not, will not, and has never been a Class 3 hitch. Now, in our world, we have hitches that are like a 1.5 by a 1.5, the smaller ones that are Class 2 hitches or Class 1 hitches. And kind of by the small shape of the hole, you know that you're not supposed to put anything heavy in there, right? I had one of those on a Honda Element years ago, that kind of thing. But I promise you that at the back of this particular vehicle, from Subaru, from the manufacturers at Subaru, they did put a 2 inch by 2 inch square back there. And our customer decided that since there was a square on the back of his vehicle that was 2 inches by 2 inches, that into that square he could place one of the commercially available motorcycle hitch carriers. And he didn't buy a VH55 VersaHaul, which is what we strongly recommend at the shop. They're made in America. They will hold the planet, and they won't bend even if you hit them with cars. What he did was he got a Black Widow, which is, $285. So spent about half as much money. And in spending half as much money, he did get a device that was probably half as much quality. But it did, in fact, his bike did go on it. And his bike is not a 125-pound bike. His bike is not a 225-pound bike. His bike is a 350cc maxi scooter, right? And it probably tips the scales at around 460 pounds. Now, he had this on the back of his Subaru Forester. And I've included a picture of said Subaru Forester if somebody would like to see it. Now, you may notice on the back of this Subaru Forester that hitch hauler is not going in the line of his frame. Okay? His automobile frame is a little lower at the front and a little higher at the back. Consistent with most vehicles that aren't from South Carolina, right? So his hitch hauler is actually pointing down at the ground. And when the bike was on the hitch hauler, those little strap holders that are at the back were actually an inch off the concrete. When he pulled into my driveway, it made very loud noises. We got the bike off there just as quickly as we could. The device that he put his bike onto, that hitch hauler is rated for 500 pounds. Why shouldn't it be? It's designed to go in a Class 3 hitch. And a Class 3 hitch is designed, according to the Class 3, to be 500 pounds of tongue weight. So any Class 3 hitch can carry 500 pounds of tongue weight. If your vehicle has a Class 3 hitch on the back of it, it can carry 500 pounds of tongue weight. But if you have a 2-inch by 2-inch box, which is the dimensions of a Class 3 hitch, you may not be able to carry 500 pounds of tongue weight. See where I'm going here? Mm-hmm. Pretty obvious, pretty easy.
How many tongues are in 500 pounds? I mean,
Well, let's talk for a second, if we would, about the fine folks at Subaru. Because it turns out that the Subaru Forester and that 2-inch square they have on the back of it is in fact not a Class 3. It is also not in fact a Class 2. It is also not in fact a Class 1.
Ooh.
It has a maximum tongue weight of 150 pounds. That's not even a me. Okay? 150 pounds.
Is that in the manual?
It is in the manual.
So Dan, I cannot.
So
stand
that thing's basically
I cannot
just-
stand on the bumper of your car anymore.
it's just screwed to the plastic bumper cover.
No, mine is Class 3.
You can pay more and get an actual Class 3 distribution hitch that will be mounted to 4 different points under your chassis of your vehicle. Those points are there. They're under a fucking element too.
Oh yeah.
Right? I put a Class 3 hitch on an element, and even in the kit that I bought my Kurt Class 3 hitch in, it said, this is a Class 3 hitch. Right. It does not make your Honda Element into a Class 3 vehicle because a Class 3 will exceed the towing capacities of a Honda Element.
Especially with the standard rear shocks. Mm-hmm. Ask me how I know, and
Right, exactly. They're
The
just not
entire
built
way
for
home.
it. However, now, the tongue weight is only 150, which means that this bracket, this device, which was over 80 pounds,
A lever.
is a lever, and it's hanging 2 feet off of the back of the tongue. So if the tongue weight for that box hitch is 150, and you move a great portion of that weight 2 feet back, leverage is going to win. Okay? Now,
The immutable laws of physics.
thank you. You cannot change the laws of physics.
I mean, we sell stuff at Summit, like weight safe things and stuff, where it actually, because when you get up in higher weights, you have to know exactly how much tongue weight you have,
you do.
because especially, whatever you're pulling. So they have, the hitch receivers with the actual measuring devices that show you exactly how much weight you're putting on the thing.
Absolutely.
That's how important it is.
It is super important.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing, too. Keep in mind, would you like to know what the towing capacity, how heavy your trailer is allowed to be out of that 2-inch by 2-inch box? It's 1,000 fucking pounds. Maximum 1,500, 1,000 pounds for drives longer than 5 miles. Well, we've never gone past 5 miles, have we? So if you're going past 5 miles, you'd better have, it's 1,000 pounds, okay? That's not very much. The U-Haul trailer, the U-Haul garden trailer with nothing in it, exceeds the weight capacity of a Subaru Forester.
Basically, it's supposed to put your bike rack in it.
Bicycles. A 2-inch box carrying a couple of bicycles. That's what it's meant to carry. That is what it's designed to carry. I looked all over that cocksucker with a flashlight. There is no expression of legal load limit carrying. It's consult the manual, and the manual clearly says 150 pounds with a maximum of 1,500 pounds trailer weight. Now, at 150 pounds, now I can promise you that bike weighs 450. The rack it was on is at least 80 pounds, and he had a top case and a windshield on it too. So we know that guy's kicking the can down the road at about 600 pounds. Okay, that's why
With no other support, just
no
the
other
fucking
support,
thing.
just a 2-inch box
It had to be going
that
like
was
this.
welded to the unibody. So I looked at the box, and the box is not 4-point suspended, distributed over the unibody.
Right.
It is literally just tack welded, a 2-inch box made of very thin steel that is tack welded to the body. And I mean, you look at a Class 3 box hitch.
Oh,
My van has a Class 5 box hitch on it. It can pull the planet.
dude,
okay?
That guy Dodge has a 3, and it's like
Right.
a fucking metal tube this big.
it's at
with
least a
this
quarter of
thick.
an inch
Yeah.
thick all the whole way around. This was not an eighth of an inch thick the whole way around. This was like sheet metal. And that's why when this thing came in and it was touching the ground when the bike was on it. I grabbed it once the bike came off of it, and I grabbed it and I lifted it up, and I bent the car. Everything that was hooked to, that 2-inch box, when I lifted that up so he could back out of my driveway without, doing the world's dumbest pole vault, I lifted that up and I bent the metal 4 inches. So I bent the end of that hitch hauler that was out in where I grabbed it. I lifted that up 4 fucking inches.
So that's like about a half inch. Like, yeah, because you're way out there.
I'm way out there.
That's still.
But that talks about the plasticity of the metal.
He literally directed them to the U-Haul down the street to get a trailer hitch put on, so he could get home.
Right. I did, because I was like, dude, you can't do anything with this. You should get this off the back of your vehicle right now, because even under its own weight, it's sagging.
Yeah.
Just under the weight of the hitch hauler.
Did he believe you? Like, was he
He
cool
did.
about it? Or?
He was embarrassed.
Well, that's
but I
better
believe
than
he got
being
the
upset.
message.
Okay, good.
I believe he got the
If
message.
you buy a car and it's got a 2-inch box in the back of it, the first thing you're going to do is, that's a trailer hitch.
That guy doesn't realize the solid you did for him. Because if
The
you didn't
point-
give a shit and he rolled away with that and it fell on the, oh my God.
Unless you have a document to the contrary, assume that the 2-inch object on the back of your vehicle is for decorative purposes only. Okay? Maybe you can put your bumper dumper on there. Maybe you can put, like John says, a rack with a couple of bicycles on it. It's literally designed to hold 150 pounds. Honestly, if you put a bumper dumper on it, I can't shit off of it.
It's true.
Because I'm 50 pounds in excess.
I'd break the back of your car off.
Exactly. So long and short of it is they showed up with a fucking 600-pound load on something that Subaru says is 150 pounds.
And where did he come from?
Oh, like East Side.
More than 5 miles.
More than 5. Thank you. More than 5. More than 5 miles. So please, 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 if you're driving an SUV, if you're driving a crossover, I've seen this more times than I can count. If your vehicle says Jeep on the side, go to the back. I promise you that's not a Class 3. I promise you. It looks Class 3. It's got all the burly indications of being Class 3. It might even have the word Rubicon stamped on it. It may not actually be a Class 3. It may have a lower trailer rating. So unless you're paying for it, and Subaru, I went to their website just to make sure we weren't wrong. In Subaru's thing, they specifically say on their website, if you're not certain, contact your dealership with your VIN. Subaru does offer Class 3 hitches for some of their vehicles as optional accessories. So that is something you should be aware of. They do make a special note that says, like, the Outback Onyx Edition does have a maximum tongue weight of 350 pounds for its tongue weight for that particular vehicle. So that is the highest rating of a stock tongue weight of the Outback family. Yep. So really, really interesting. Something that I was really fucking surprised by. Be careful out there because you don't want your shit falling off. And in case you're wondering, there's a lot of pictures on the internet of shit falling off. So it's not where you want to be, man. Somebody beeping going on. All right. So that's a thing that exists. Anybody want to hear some news or some feedback?
Yes, we haven't had feedback.
We haven't had feedback in a good long while.
All the hate mail.
Well, it's not so much hate mail. We get all kinds of mail, but there will be, I promise, there's going to be some hate mail, right? Because you wouldn't be happy if I didn't give you some hate mail.
Right.
Yeah, more hate mail.
All the hate mail.
Yeah. The big thing that we had, whoops, Jesus Christ, AI is trying to take over.
All right, just quit fucking around.
Yeah. All right.
Well, someone's all grown up now.
All right. So here we are.
Hey, AI, write us a script.
Write us a script. Yeah.
Sourpuss.
In the style of Cleveland Moto
Fucking
Podcast.
blind me over here with your cock light.
All right. You guys ready?
Prince Albert DeCan.
Are you trying to find it down there?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to read it. Hey, I just wanted to share my thoughts on the ride today compared to previous years. This is from the DGR. I feel like the ride has gotten dangerously fast. I started attending in 21, and the rides used to be nice, calm, and parade-like. But this year was absolutely terrifying speeds throughout. In 21 and 22, I know the riders' meeting stressed to have the slower vehicles up front to keep a safe pace for everyone but this year. I'm sorry, for everyone. I'm going to try to fix the grammar as I go. But this year especially, there were several points where the group was doing 70-plus miles an hour in 25-mile-per-hour stretches and darting through tight corners too wide without giving people much room. We are honestly super lucky that the oldest guy was the only one to bin it, as far as I know. but there were way too many close calls for my comfort. I would like to continue attending, but things need to get reeled in some for me to feel completely comfortable next year. I'm down for fast rides when I'm prepared and geared for them, but today with everyone wearing the bare minimum for gear, it was absolutely terrifying. Okay. I did respond to his letter, his email, right? And I'm going to respond the same way that I responded to him. I'm like, let you guys know. I basically told him to fuck his hat. No, I didn't. Come on.
He must have been in that front third then.
Well,
I was gonna say-
so here's what I have to tell you. When you're riding in group rides, there's a couple of different ways to do it. One of the ways to do it is to acknowledge that the group is going to be split up by traffic devices, etc. And if you're going to acknowledge that the group is going to be split up by traffic devices, etc., then you will have at several points during the ride co-captains that will be there every 80 bikes or so, or every 30 bikes or so. So if the ride gets split up, if there's a red light that can't be avoided, and the group gets split up, you stop for the light, and the ride co-captains know exactly where everybody's going. So there is no threat of getting lost. There's no threat of being scared because you have a guy with an orange vest there to make sure that you get to your intended destination. Okay. We don't do that because when we do the DGR, our getting going point is very fucking obvious. And our destination point is equally as fucking obvious. So that if you get stopped by a red light, you will end up at your destination point because our destination points have historically been really fucking obvious. And we do stress in our invocation, in our riders meeting, that we are not forcing anyone to block traffic. If you want to block traffic, we applaud you. Thank you. You're a hero. We will all pat you on the back later for your heroic endeavor.
Thank you.
You were a good guy. We love you.
I know you do.
However, if you block traffic the old school way, and which means you're going to pull out, you're going to be at the front of the ride. I'm going to post up when the intersection is a hairy intersection, and I stop, I'll stop until we achieve the green, and I know we can't make it through in one cycle. We have 229 bikes. I will point to the intersection, and 2 road guards will go out. And the problem with that is when you have road guards that when 229 bikes have gone past them, then the road guards feel compelled to go 193 miles an hour to catch back up to the front of the run so they can do it again next time. And having 2 high-speed vehicles running up and down the left sides is a recipe for disaster when everyone else is going 35. A 70-mile-per-hour closing speed collision is really nasty, and I've been on many rides where that's happened. Because we're all riding and we're having a good time, and Johnny Thunders is coming up the inside lane on the double yellow, or he's worse, he's on the berm, and he's coming up, and you decide this is the moment where you're going to give the guy next to you a little bit of room, and now you're right where Johnny Thunders needs to be, but he's got a Buick coming at him in the other lane. Somebody's got to give, something's got to yield, and that's always fucking terrible. We don't do that anymore. And in fact, in my message, when we're talking about this, I always say, if you block and you end up at the back of the pack, do not try to fight your way forward again. People at the front who are next in line can volunteer to cover the next intersection. We don't want to have this overlapping fields of fire with guys running all the way up to the front again, putting everybody at risk. That's bad. That's terrible. So we give it that method of saying, if you block, you're just going to be at the back of the pack. And then for the next bad intersection, I'll appoint 2 more road guards, and either they'll do it.
Remember that for next year.
And it works out just fine. It usually works out great when we do that. The route we chose, we only had 4 places where we actually had to stop for red lights. 4 spots that I felt were dangerous enough that we couldn't run right through them.
Well, and I was behind the guys when they went down.
Yeah.
And it had nothing to do with anybody going. That was like the slowest moving part of the whole
I don't
thing.
think he's making that assessment.
Okay.
But here, I'm going to get to the next part.
Yeah.
So the next part that happens is ye old grand accordion. So ye old grand accordion means if the guy at the front of the pack is going exactly the speed limit, which is my job to do that. My job is to go exactly the speed limit. Because if I'm going slower than the speed limit, then we will in fact have what he was describing as a parade, which means walking pace. And nobody wants that. Because if you're going to get 229 people through an intersection at 6 miles per hour, it is going to be a problem. You're going to get the attention of law enforcement because you are truly obstructing traffic in their city. And they don't like that. So it's better to just get your ass through that shit and be a problem that only exists in their township for 30 or 40 seconds. Good. The accordion is what happens when the guys at the front are maintaining a steady speed. They're getting up to their 35 miles an hour and they're holding it. However, the problem is in the back, we've got maybe people aren't paying as attention as they should be. And if they are stopping for lights, what's happening is even when there's a road guard present, sometimes people stop because they don't have the gumption or they're not confident enough or what have you. When those people that are back there don't see the road guard and just do what they're supposed to do, which is maintain 35 miles an hour, they slow down to 10. Well, if you slow down to 10 because you're not confident about your ability to cross that intersection with the road guard, you've created a large gap. And everyone behind you has had to slow down for 10. So the front of the parade is moving along at 35 miles an hour. The back of the parade is now doing ye old accordion. And that means they might be going from 5 miles an hour to 60 miles an hour, right? 5 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour, 5 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour. And when you get the accordion, that's when the situation presents itself to what this person is complaining about. Now, if you were going 75 miles per hour, fuck you, okay? You don't have to. There's no point in this event that you have to go 75 miles an hour. The last 3 turns of the thing, once our lead group was in the metro parks and I knew that there's literally nowhere else you can turn, yeah, I wicked it up a little bit to give the people some fun and we could do some strafing of the turns in the metro parks. I took it upon myself to do that. But by that point, there was not another single traffic control device after that. And it was literally just, you're just on this road until you get to the castle.
See, my observations, being there and seeing all the people moving past, there were a lot of people that were not doing the staggered thing. There were a whole bunch of people riding just big old packs of fucking 4 and 8 and 6. And they seem to be less experienced riders.
Right.
Because they
And
fell
that's
into that. Because if you're, like for me, I don't have to even think. If I'm riding in a group ride and I'm riding in it, you automatically just keep those distances. Yeah. It just happens. Like if we see each other on the road and we start riding together, nobody says anything. You just get into the pattern.
Well, you know, that's a lot of inexperience.
Right.
Yeah, what happened to you? You killed your own mic.
Yep. There you go. He's unplugged.
I had to plug it in.
All right.
Got me now?
Yep. Yeah, we got you now.
Okay.
Yep.
Tom's over there unplugging stuff.
Yeah, just random wires. No, that's, I know for a fact we didn't hit 70 miles an hour in the back of the pack because I was riding with 3 Lambrettas and 1 Sprint.
You were on mosquito control.
Well, I always stay towards the back in case anybody breaks down because I'm the one dumbass that will walk up to you and go, okay, this can be fixed now or we're getting the truck.
I still smell the 2-stroke from the tunnel from all those bikes.
And
going
that was
through
3.
But
that was 4 technically.
I always stay towards the back 10%. Like I'm always within the back 10 bucks.
Tom and I have been on scooter rallies where there have been 252 strokes.
Absolutely.
Why don't I bring mine that takes twice as much 2-stroke oil in the gas?
Yeah. So if people were doing 70, they were doing it way up ahead of us because we weren't.
Yeah. And even in my fast group, even in the front of the thing, once we wicked it up, once we were in the park and we wicked it up, we only wicked it up for a mile or 2 miles, right?
That Sprint couldn't hit 70 out of the back of a truck.
No, we know that. We know that. And that's why I only wicked it up to give people that were at the front. Because there were some people crawling up my tailpipe.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, let's play. And, but it is, and what he brings up too, and I want to mention this, is he says in previous years, we talked about slower bikes going to the front. And you will remember in my invocation, I specifically said, if you have a sidecar rig, if you've got a 3-wheeler, if you've got something that takes longer to stop, I want you at the front of the pack.
Yeah.
Because of the accordion. Because I understand that any ride that I've ever done, that I've ever been a part of, despite any level of draconian control, you can't stop the accordion from happening because people are going to be people, right? People are just going to be what they're doing. They're on a group ride. It's fun. You got your buddies around you. Your head might not be so much in the game for that. You might be like, oh, check it out. We're so many people. And you get a gap. And that gap, when that gap happens, we got to fill that gap in somehow. And it's
hang on, I got it.
I think that's Dan.
No, it's not.
Oh, wasn't?
I know what it
there was
is.
a clicking. What's that clicking sound?
It's over here.
Okay. Anyway.
I thought somebody was flicking a pen. I was going to punch somebody. I'm like, what are you doing over there?
No, it was our
It's craft services.
craft services table. It was the heater eater.
Fire him.
Fire. He's gone.
New
Craft
craft
services is
services.
gone.
Yeah.
Oh my! Don't you dare do that. That was my breakfast
That's,
today.
I was gonna say that's
Craft services was my breakfast.
That's Phil's
yeah.
lunch. That's Phil's lunch for the
That
next
was
couple
my
of days.
lunch and breakfast. So I did want to read that. I did give you a response. I sent you a response privately, personally, but I also wanted to read it here to let people know that when you are doing group rides, you can have a big bearing on whether or not that accordion happens. So just be aware of it. If you do think that you are going to slow the fucking thing down, either make sure you know the destination and ride your own ride, or get to the front of the ride and stay at the front of the ride. Because even when we did a few years ago, when we did the Passport, like the small bike safari, where we had all little tiny tiddlers. I mean, I was riding a 125. Merritt was riding a 125. We led a ride that never went on a road that was over 35 miles an hour. And yet we still had a massive accordion involved because, and the accordion wasn't from the little tiddlers, which were all in the front. We were going hell-bent for leather. We were loving it. The accordion was the guys on the big bikes, right? That were, hey, isn't this fun? We're riding around downtown Cleveland. We just blew through 18 red lights. Woohoo, whatever. And they were going like 12. And they had a group of guys that were stuck behind them that were like, we don't want to go 12.
Yeah.
We want to go the speed, right? So that's what happens. And it's not necessarily the guy at the front. I had intercoms going with a guy at the back. So as long as I was in range with my headset, I was talking to a rider in the back who was kind of keeping me up to speed, and I didn't lose headset range until they had the crash.
Right.
And then when they had the crash, we lost intercoms, and I was like, well, we're separated now. But we made it 90% of the ride without getting separated, which is pretty fucking great, considering how many red lights we went through.
Yeah.
So I was pretty good with that. So that's a thing.
And the traffic was pretty cool. Like, nobody really got upset too much.
I
on
thought
any
it
of the
was
turns.
very good.
Yeah,
I thought we had very nice
Yeah,
people there when
And
we were.
we passed at least 3 cops, and they
Yeah.
were like, "Hey, how's it going?
The cops
Y'all
are
doing all right?
cops
Cool."
tend to be okay as long as you do the wave, as long as you stop and wave and make sure it looks like we know what we're doing.
Yeah.
By the way, Redonk just bumped himself up to the $10 message. So Redonk is now getting the punchlines. Thank you very much, Redonk.
Redonk.
Mark 60 Mark.
Redonk.
Yeah, Mark 68 Mark.
Redonkershon.
Donkershun. Oh, Redonkershun. So that's fucking cool. Gotta love that. Paul Charney, one of our podcast listeners, says that he is headed to DC and he wants to show me how I roll. So go ahead and pop this up. This is one of our podcast listeners, and he's got a hitch hauler on the back of his Goldwing. And on the back of his Goldwing, he's got the biggest fucking igloo I've seen in a long time. Nicely done.
American
And I
made.
wonder if the bottom of that can turn into a grill.
I think it can.
Front and center with the ClevelandMoto.
Front and
Sticker
center
too,
with the
yeah.
Cleveland Moto sticker. You got our Ukrainian edition Cleveland Moto sticker on that bad boy. Yeah, love that. So he's on his way. He's got, he's a military veteran, and he's on his way to DC on his wing.
Nice.
Super cool, man. We appreciate that, Paul.
wing and a
Badass.
prayer.
On a wing and a prayer. For real. Super, super cool. We got a fresh new member, Michael Murphy, at the $5 level. So cool, Michael. Thank you so very much for joining in the fucking madness. We dig the shit out of that.
So we got a relevant question for you.
Fire away.
On the thing. What comms are you running?
So I'm running the Senna 10C Pro. That's the one that has the built-in video camera. It's about 5 years old now. It's kind of old, kind of a legacy edition.
Well, that's still a Bluetooth unit.
It is a Bluetooth unit. Absolutely.
I run this Senna 50S, which is mesh or Bluetooth.
Right. Yep.
Mesh is the way to go.
Mesh is the way to go. You can literally link into a daisy chain of motherfuckers.
Yep.
And you can pull that in, and that's going to give you so much more range. Spreading out a little bit, it's the way to go. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm limited by the range of Bluetooth. I'm
That technology of your
limited
time.
by that technology. Exactly. What was funny, because occasionally while I was riding, I would ping my my finder button, like, hey, does anybody want to talk to me? Does anybody want to talk to me? Nope. No. Yeah, so I was getting a whole lot of no riders within range.
Well, that's the nice thing about the mesh. You can go in an open channel, and if you're at a group event and you just say everyone that wants to be on an open channel, just go to channel 1.
Oh.
Everyone can communicate back and forth.
Oh, that's
But if you want
cool.
to have a private group, you can set that up too. So just let's say the ride leaders and the road guards could have a private channel, and then but everyone else could talk to one another.
That's fantastic. And that's that mesh technology. That gives you the ability to cover huge distances.
Hey, Pete, go to channel 3. Hey, fuck those other guys.
right.
Hey, what's your name? My name's Pete. Fuck you, Pete.
What's your name? Tony.
Fuck you, Tony. Okay, Michael Stewart. Stewart. Stewart says, I'm going to AMA Vintage Motorcycle Days, and I have ambitions of bringing my 1980 CB400T Hawk to Bought it in 2004 as my first bike. It starts and runs fairly decent now, but it needs some love. Will Johnny Mac be there? No, it doesn't say that. It says, it is borderline reliable enough, I might almost consider riding it up there from Virginia. My thought was, is it realistic to get up to Cleveland several days early for Vintage Motorcycle Days and get into Skidmark Garage and do some tuning up on the Hawk? I like where your head is. Maybe hook up with Meckelfresh to bend his ear about it. I don't want to just have someone fix it for me. I want to waste all their time too. No, I want to go over it with someone who can teach me about it. Oh, that was waste some of their time too. I understand the weeks leading up to VMD are busy for everyone, us more than anyone else. Getting their own shit together, us more than anyone else. But I thought
I'm only going to get 12 ready.
Ask. Yeah, I was going to say, he has to prepare one bike. Tom has to prepare 12. I have to prepare 12, right? Okay. But I thought I'd ask. Secondary question. I need to secure wheels for Mid-Ohio. Last year, you were generous enough to let me and my sister Emily borrow scooters. Yep. This year, I want to buy one instead of mooching off your generosity. Good. We'll have them to sell. It's going to be like a fucking bodega, right? It is. It is. We're going to have a lot of shitty scooters to sell. But I mean shitty. I mean like shittier than I sell retail.
The Black Cat's going to be there, and that thing's going to be amazing. So you get there early.
Right on. Right. No shit. Like, not
get
joking.
There early.
Get there early. We're going to bring some ringers down there. We're going to have some cool bikes for people to buy. Anyway, can we discuss purchasing a scooter for the weekend? One that I will almost certainly sell on Sunday. Yes, you will. Or if I trailer the Hawk, I'll just bring it home with me. Yeah, that's a good idea. Definitely in the sub $2,000 range. Yeah, that's where we're going to be. We're going to be in the sub $1,000 range. And he says maybe sub $1,000 range. Tall order, but thought I'd put it out there anyways. All this might be better hashed out with a phone call. No, I don't think so. We're about to address it right now. Maybe I'll give the shop a call this coming week. Appreciate your time. See y'all soon. Mike. Hey, Mike. So anyway, your instincts are right. We are going to be busier than a one-legged man in an ass-kicking competition the week before AMA Vintage Days because all of us want to take all the shit down there that we hope to sell, and we can't sell it if it's not running. So it's got to be running. And a lot of the stuff that we take in with the idea of like, okay, this is a shitbox now, but we can get it running for Vintage Days. So that's a big deal. We're going to be very, very busy the week before Vintage Days. Now, Skidmark, bet your ass, they do have a membership program, but I'm going to just go on a long shot and say that if you contact Brian or contact Skidmark, you may not have to buy an entire month's membership to get a little fucking bench time. Skidmark is wonderful that way. I love them for it. They're awesome. A fat guy on a little bike says, yes, speaking my language, cheap, shitty scooters. I will see you guys there.
We got you covered.
We got you covered. Yeah, we're going to be ready. Nobody needs to walk at Vintage Days. So Michael Stewart, your instincts, your letter is absolutely on the money. You are picking up what we're laying down.
I'll just comment on that, too. You're probably more likely to get me to help you fix your bike at AMA Vintage Days than at Skidmark, because I don't get down there very often, but I will be there, and I often do try to help people with their bikes.
And also, if you make it, it's easy. So if John's sitting in a chair and you wheel the bike in front of him with like a nice cold drink and a fan, shit happens sometimes.
Yeah, personal challenge accepted.
And Phil basically says if I can't fix it in 15 minutes on the carpet, I'm not allowed to touch it anymore.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Why? Because there's so much, right?
Yeah.
And that's that whole deal. Is like, I don't want Tom doing motor rebuilds at AMA Vintage Days when there is a nonstop stream of things that just need 20 minutes, you know? And that's exactly right. Meyer also edited his membership from $10 to $20.
Nice.
My God, get out of here. That's crazy.
Another $20, you get the Pornhub account.
That's nuts. That's nuts.
I put a new foot video up this.
I'm glad to meet your friend.
Jim Howard was one of the guys that came out to our Moto Guzzi demo. We had a lot of fun. The Moto Guzzi demo was super cool. He goes, you were right. It was the Royal Enfield ride. His buddy did that ride up in the mountains in the Himalayas.
Nice.
Royal Enfields and everything else. And they did. There's a whole review for it. There's a whole thing talking about the trip to Nepal to ride the mountains. It was way more intense than I had imagined. And I've read reports from this trip, this latest one that went, where people were like, yeah, they said if you had a basic knowledge of riding, you're probably going to be okay. And people were like, no,
Probably.
bring your A game. Yeah, we're talking about the top of the planet.
They're doing 6 days fucking enduro on.
We are
Oh
talking
yeah, no, I've seen videos. They're amazing.
about the top of the planet.
Yeah.
So I'm always curious when somebody says like, oh, it's not going to be that bad. Basic riding skills.
They do call it a Himalaya for a reason.
Right. Yeah. And also basic riding skills for Cleveland are a little different than basic riding skills for like Vietnam,
some of the roads
India.
some of the roads are even graveled.
Right.
Do you ever see the ladies in Vietnam coming down those rice mountains and they have like the whole bike loaded with rice, but then they have to back up and turn around because it's too steep?
It's crazy.
And it's just normal. Like their babies on their back.
My new one are the guys that have the motorcycle, but it's converted to hold 8 people. So they have the boards going across.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
so that there's 2 little shitty Chinese tires that are like 3 inches wide, 2 inches wide. And then there's literally people hanging on picnic benches off the side of this cocksucker.
Yeah.
And they have a scale because they charge people money to take objects that aren't humans up and down the mountain as well. Oh. So in addition to the 6 bonus people that are on your motorcycle, maybe 7, including you, you're also taking 50-pound bags of rice, etc.
Up hills like that.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Oh, yeah.
and the Honda. I mean,
Well,
this is where the
like
Honda
that,
Cub
sorry.
comes. This is the whole Honda Cub thing. I'm like,
Yeah,
everybody's
exactly.
like, oh no, I need 500 cc's or 1,000
No.
at least, and I'm like, no, the Honda Cub does everything.
It's literally
Yeah,
people have been
it's
going
the-
around
it's
the
the
planet
workhorse.
on that thing forever. Yeah, right. It is so fucking hilarious. It is great. We did get a.
There you go. No, that's a
Wait,
good.
this
That's
is
a
a good
good
one.
quote.
I feel like at Mid Ohio, you either get Honda Whisperer or the Bourbon Fairy, and you don't want the Bourbon Fairy whispering to your Honda.
That's a good quote.
Once John changes channels,
Moto
it's pretty.
Smith's
Oh, it's over.
Garage.
It's
Yes.
pretty. Once John changes channels, it is a violent change. It is once he gets in that mode where he's like, I think I'm going to go out and meet some fun people and maybe cause some trouble.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can throw some gas on this fire.
Yeah, don't hand him a screwdriver at
Right.
that
At that point, you don't want him wrenching on your shit. There is a funny thing. I'm not going to read it because I just wanted to say we made a very subtle, and I mean, I had to go back and listen to this. We made an extremely tiny. We did mention 3 letters. It said, Phil, in your last podcast, you were talking about DEI. I feel you neglected one facet of the issue. While I do not tune in to hear politics as your mission statement, and then I'm not going to go any further. Okay. So I did go back and listen because I was going to say, we don't talk about that here.
Yeah.
And what I had mentioned was that people were shooting their Harley Davidsons with machine guns because they felt that Harley Davidson had become too DEI.
Oh, okay.
So that was my statement.
Right, but we didn't, yeah.
But he saw fit to write a 2-pager. So in his response. So just so you know, if you like it not being a political podcast, don't send me 2 pages of political shit hoping I'm going to read it because I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, like...
Right.
Like
So
if
your diatribe reached exactly one person long enough to realize, I know what side you're on. Shut the fuck up.
Well, and not only that,
Okay?
but like...
You
okay,
win.
Like, we avoid politics and
Right.
we avoid religion, but if you're just reading a news source, like,
Right.
so-and-so did this because of this, and that's actually what the headline of the news is, we're not diving into the politics of it. We're just going into the motorcycle story behind that.
Motherfuckers shot up some Harley Davidsons.
Yeah,
And that was the reason they did it.
right.
So we're here to point out dumb shit.
Hey,
Yeah.
Phil,
And that was the top of the charts.
I'm gonna derail this now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Swear Engine gave us $20.
Whoa, Swear Engine! Swear Engine! Yes, and he plans to do a podcast outside of the
he
shop.
must have missed the beginning.
Yeah,
He missed the beginning.
He must have missed. Well,
He's gotta
he
go
was-
back.
He's been since the beginning, but we were talking about doing the.
I think
he's
I
outdoors,
think
maybe.
Swear Engine's talking about a crackle cast.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, you know what?
As soon as it stops raining, maybe.
Well, yeah, no, when it stops
Are
raining.
you kidding me? I just saw the guys building an arc
I
down
was
the
gonna
end
say,
of the
man, I'm
street.
gonna have to trade for pontoon boats.
But once it stops raining, my burn pile is about 13 feet tall.
Oh,
now.
is it?
Yeah, so we could have a fucking solid bonfire.
Big crackle cast.
Yeah, yeah.
Boom cast. All right. Last one. Maybe.
Maybe.
Graham Smith. I'm here with my tail between my legs.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Asking for a favor, looking for some assistance. I've recently become the owner of a new-to-me Griezo 1100. Griezo 1100. Okay, fair enough. As I am an especially thrifty individual, I'm in the process of doing some minorly extensive repairs. I'm in need of a Moto Guzzi tool, part number. We're going to get it. It's a spindle nut socket. It's basically a socket with 4 posts on it and a hole in it to put either in a 1/2-inch drive or 3/4-inch drive, what have you. Okay? And it's used for replacing the pinion seal on the rear differential of the car. This actually takes out a threaded nut, castellated nut that goes in that's ID threaded, and it holds a rubber seal in there. It's a thing. It exists.
I have one for a Dana 44. If you want me to send that to you, it might work. You can modify
I
it a
mean-
little bit.
So hold on, guys. Hang on. It gets better.
How tight's that thing in there?
Oh, they're in there.
Okay.
Yeah, they're in there. And it's deep in there. So you can't like get in it with a
I
screwdriver
was
and
just saying,
hammer.
could you make one out of like a piece of fence post and just grind a...
You can make one out of like a 28 millimeter socket.
Yeah.
And then, but the problem is like, it's got to be a deep well.
Okay.
And then you got to grind 90% of the material off just leaving those 4 points.
This is literally why horror fraud exists.
Hold on. Okay. It's a spindle nut socket used for replacing the pinion seal on the rear differential CARC, the anti-rise suspension system. Let me know if you might potentially be interested in selling or lending one of these out, assuming you might have one or two kicking around, or potentially you, Tom, might have a good hookup connection for buying one. I'm nearing the point of making my own. You should. Just thought I'd reach out your way first. Thanks so much. Much love from Canada. Okay,
right.
so C-A-N-A-D-A. Canada.
A-
Now, I'm going to tell you a little thing about tools. One, I used to have all of them. And then I had staff members that would be like, oh, you need to do that job? Here you go. Just make sure to bring it back when you're done. They don't come home.
Yeah.
Ever. The road to no empty toolbox is paved with good intentions. Now, here's the problem. The particular tool he's looking for is about $100 American, about $129 Canadian. It exists. It's on the planet. He can buy it. He can get in touch with AF1 Racing. He can get in touch with Harper's. He can get in touch with Guzzi Tech. They will sell him that tool. I will not, under any circumstances, mail that tool to Canada until I have like $130 in my pocket. Now, here's the weird thing. I actually went to our Piaggio Moto Guzzi, where we order shit from. They don't have one.
Oh.
So now mine became priceless, right?
Oh, right.
All right.
So now, yeah. You're not
Now I
sending
did
a
look on the
gold
internet, and there are 2 on eBay, and there is one at Harper's, right? So mine just became more valuable. Now, I'm going to tell you how important this system is to me now, is I didn't even go back and look, okay? Because I believe in Schrodinger's toolbox. It both is and isn't there. If I'm not looking for it, it's there. If Tom needs to do that job tomorrow, it won't be there.
Right.
Right? And I will order another one. And then we'll have 2. Okay? Because Schrodinger's toolbox, that's exactly how it works. But if I am one of the guys that used to work for me, who was like, sure, you can borrow that to do the job. Right? Now Schrodinger's toolbox, well, we know it's empty. Right? It just became a regular empty toolbox now. So just to let you know, I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm just trying to tell you I run a business. And if that tool isn't there, I can't do my business.
It'll take me exactly 10 minutes to look for that tool, and if I don't find it, I'm making it.
No, you're not.
Oh, no?
No, you're fucking not. I'm going to order another one, right? That's what's going to happen.
let's not do it till we need
because it's going to take you 30 minutes to make another one.
True.
Right. And that 30 minutes means that is exactly what we would have paid for the tool. The 10 minutes you spent looking for it and the 30 minutes you spent making it
Sure, that's an hour.
are exactly the amount of time it took me to buy that tool. So no, it's an easier thing. It's easier to quit by not starting, Timmy, right?
Yeah.
It's easier to not put yourself in that position. So don't lend your tools out unless you're willing to not own them anymore.
Oh, absolutely.
Fat Guy in a Little Bike says, thanks for the hours of great motorcycle shop talk and shit talking. I'll see you guys at VMD. I'll bring some ice.
Bring ice.
God,
Oh,
yes.
God. This guy knows.
Bring ice. He
Bring
knows
ice.
the rules, man. Bring ice.
Well, that's
Bring ice
that's
or fireworks.
the house rules.
That's good.
Bring ice.
Whiskey goes with ice.
Whiskey goes with ice.
Bring ice, booze, because we will have the full bar again.
And remember, I do like plants.
Absolutely.
Bring water, bottled water, individual ones. That'll be fine.
Any plant
Any
material.
food you want to hook up.
Sleepy,
anything
go ahead
you
and
wanna
throw
bring.
this one up for me.
There you go.
Perfect.
Oh, my God.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah, perfect. We have a submission of a logo for the logo contest. Now, the problem is, artistically, we can't see the C or the O. So right now it's Leveland Mott. Leveland Mott Podcast.
It needs to come out just a little bit. So
wee
you get the C
bit
and the
more.
O.
But I do.
Actually,
But
you know
this
what?
is-
You know
Who
what I'm
cut
saying?
the nuts off the Tanuki?
No, listen. This could be the dopest thing. If they move Cleveland Moto up and the podcast down, we'd have a 3-rocker patch, and it would be fucking amazing.
Now, wait a minute. Hang on
We
a
could
second.
get them on cuts and roll around mid-Ohio like champs.
Hang on a second. We got something even better. If you take the bikes and bring them down just a little bit,
Okay.
and turn the helmets into a C on one side and an O, the helmets become the C and the O.
Joe, I'm pulling this up for you, Joe. Joe Troy. Joe.
But
You
this
guys,
is-
can I
this
get a
is
second?
beautiful.
Give me a second, Tom. I want to make sure it's perfectly clear. Joe Troy. Joe Troy. If you're listening and you're not watching, because remember, a very small portion of our audience watches, but
Right.
a large portion listens. Joe Troy, we've just put your art up here, the rainbow Tanuki. Oh, God, it's so good.
It is.
We've just put your rainbow art up. So the answer is move the Cleveland Moto up so it's a rocker above, and the podcast down so it's a rocker below. Do everything exactly the same because it's magical.
Yeah, the rest of it's perfect.
The rest of it's perfect.
But that way we're taking on...
And we're doing a 3-part patch. And I'll tell you what, if you're going to step to me with this 3-part patch,
Yeah.
I'm going to kiss you.
If you think we're trying to intimidate your gang,
You might get to see my dick. Yeah. If you think I'm rat fucking the whole system, if you think I'm rat fucking the Brotherhood system, you might get to see my dick. It's really hard to punch a naked guy.
yeah.
It is really hard. Yeah.
Especially a greased up naked guy.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
I would make the helmets the C and the O is the only thing I
I
would
get it.
consider.
I'm with you.
Just bring it
I'm
up.
with
But
you.
you're right about the 3-part.
Yeah, bring it up and make the left guy's rider the C
Yeah.
and the right guy's rider the O.
Yeah.
That's right. And then and you could make
But this has a lot of potential. I like where this is going.
I do too. I just wanted to bring it up because I think it's fucking beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, at some point
just
when we
fucking
finish this,
beautiful.
it at least has to be a sticker at the very
Oh,
minimum.
It's a
Absolutely.
very good sticker. It's
if
a
we can
really,
make it the
really-
glittery, the 70s glittery stickers
I'm on
too,
it. I will get pricing. I will find the manufacturer. I'll take care of that.
Oh, those sticker people never stop calling me, man. That is so cool, guy. Man,
Yeah, that
I gotta
one's
say,
fucked.
Joe Troy, man, that was a winner. You made us all
Yep,
super,
yep.
super happy with that one.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
another $5 buy-in. $5 buy-in.
And we got we got another $5 buy.
Another $5 buy-in.
Oh, scare Raven.
And then he said,
7.
so hard not to.
So hard not to punch a naked guy. Oh, man. I want to hit you so hard, but I'm going to get the gay on my hands. Michael Zimborski kicked us a $7.50 membership. That is halfway between. That is like, he's dancing on a very...
Decidedly non-committal.
Yeah, that is this.
He's taking the back rub, but he's not sure he's ready to go all the way yet. That's all it
That
is.
is exactly what it is.
We have the remote control in our hands. We've almost picked a movie on Netflix.
Yes. Yeah. So in a response to that, we did just get Josh chimed in. I want to say thank you. Thank you for the entertainment, the education, and for speaking up. You dropped the Guns and Bikes video, and you took heat for it, because we did. Sleepy and I, we made a Guns and Bikes video, sort of an answer to that whole nonsense thing. He
But,
says,
you know what's funny? It wasn't really political, though. It was more or less like, why are you fucking these Harleys on?
well, again.
Yeah.
So Josh says, you spoke out against the anti-DEI craze and hating people for simply being different. You have a business to watch out for. However, you also have a platform to speak from with the podcast. You take that risk, and it speaks volumes about all of you. Yeah, we love what we do here. We also love every fucking body.
Yeah, right.
Right? And we don't want to see anybody have a bad time.
Well, how long did it take us to find enough weird people that we feel comfortable with everybody that we like? So
We're comfortable with people we don't
then-
like,
yeah,
Sleepy.
and
Let's
then-
be honest about
No,
it.
but I'm saying,
And then we
like-
show up and we make it weird.
But that's my point. Is like we said, you get the point.
In case the place wasn't weird when we showed up, we lay down some weird for you. Come on.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's good.
Ooh, can we
It
make
is good.
them? Can we make the dirt bikes unicorns?
No. Again,
I think it was good.
I think it's good. I gotta say, like, it makes me really happy. It makes me happy to see our podcast listeners playing along. And when something like that, which can be a bit of a powder keg issue, when that happens, there's a take. Everybody has a take on
Yeah.
it. So that's great. I'm very happy. Like, that makes me, it's like, okay, these guys are all cool. They get it. That's rad. So that's a good thing. Like,
Yeah.
it happens. And that's why we don't do politics. That's why we don't wander into that. And you see, like, just that touch, just like that little...
Which was so weird. It
That-
was just
that-
part of a fucking story.
It's part of a story, but
Yeah.
just that, people are ready. People are like, they're poised. They're sprung, loaded, and ready to launch.
They need to get out and ride their bikes, man.
Well, I think
Well,
that
as soon as
maybe...
it stops raining,
What if that happened? It's just finally got nice weather and everybody was just nice.
Right, that would be great. Be like, fuck, man.
what the hell was all I wound
Just needed some fucking vitamin D.
What was wrong with me, man? Yeah, you didn't get any
That's-
vitamin D.
Was it the Johnsonville Brats commercials now, which are like, y'all need to shut the fuck up and go have a hot dog? I mean, literally, that's the entire commercial. Shut the fuck up and go have a hot dog.
Shut the fuck up and go have a hot dog. You guys know we've been kind of happy. We've been super happy about the Triumph the new Triumph 400s. They're cute. They're adorable. They kind of look good. They look neat. I got to ride one around. I was really impressed with it. Really a cool little bike. And they've got a new one. And Sleepy, throw this picture up.
Oh,
Damn.
Nice.
Oh my God! It's even the right color. Yeah, they're making a Scrambler, boys. It's not a Scrambler though, like the Scrambler we got. It's better looking Scrambler. Like it's actually looking like little knobbier.
it's got pie plates.
It's looking knobbier. It's looking like more legitimified.
Yeah.
And it's really, really cool. The problem is not for America. India only. But that's not going to last.
No.
They say that, and that's going to be now.
And it's like, we don't want money.
Do you know who would like this? Our friends in America.
Yeah.
Yeah. They got a weird habit. They got a weird problem with things that are yellow
Right.
and have knobby tires. I got evidence one in my showroom right now.
Right.
Right. My Ewan McGregor bike is a good example of that. This is a cool looking bike. You know, this is one of those ones where I'm like, yeah, that's hitting, dude. I like it.
That was a 400, right?
It is a 400.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah.
It's a 400. Yeah, it's a 400cc bike. And that's pretty cool. So it's built, same idea as the Speed 400 and the Scrambler 400X. Yay. The downside is they're calling this the XC, so cross country. Right,
Yeah.
cross country. 19-inch up front, 17-inch in the back. All right, cool. You know, hey, it doesn't have to be the world's greatest off-road bike. 400cc like
Well,
that.
no, they built a dirt bike for that.
Well, that's going to be direct competition with the Himalaya then.
Correct.
Kind of.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Correct-ish.
thinking.
Because I'm sure they're going to have racks and shit that you can strap on this thing and make it
You
all
can
kinds
pull
of fun.
pull this one up?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look at that thing.
It's got a subframe. You
What's not to love?
yeah, that's
Yeah,
a cute, that's a good
that's a
looking
cool
bike.
looking bike. That's the regular one.
That looks like a TW200 with skinnier wheels.
Well, this one here is this is the that's the regular. That's the one that's out there right now, the Scrambler.
Okay.
And then this is this cross country. The cross country, cross
like
country's
that
got
better.
the. Well, oh my God, yeah, Sleepy. I mean,
Let's
look
see
at
the
that thing.
pipe side. Was it the same?
Yeah, we
where's
got
the pipe?
There's got to be a pipe side. Nobody ever likes to show a picture of the pipe side, which is fucking lame.
Yeah, look at that. They're
Yeah.
purposely non-piping it.
The
You
pipes,
are
the
not
pipes.
joking. Yeah,
Danny
you're-
boy.
Pipes are called Danny Boy.
yeah. You're not kidding. I'm gonna find a picture of it. I promise.
All right.
Here we go. We're gonna find a picture of the pipe side.
Well, let me know when it comes up.
Yeah, we'll let you know because there's no way they can not show a picture of the pipe side.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. We got it. I found one.
Tom, I need a snack and a beer.
Sure.
Snack and a beer.
Oh yeah. And can you grab me
Make it so, whatever you choose.
All right, there you
this
go.
100% legal thing?
Yep.
Thank you.
That's not it though either. That's got the low fender on it.
Yeah. What's going on?
I think they're intentionally hiding that because that picture's definitely got the high fender on it.
Oh, there it is.
That one right there.
No, the middle, right in the middle. What's that?
That's got the low fender.
No, the yellow.
Oh wait.
This one.
Oh wait.
Right
Is that a
above-
video?
Right above that.
Right above that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not the pipe side.
It is. It's the other
There's the
side.
pipe side.
Here
Well,
you
but
go.
you
there,
can't see
there
the
it is.
pipe.
There it is. There it is.
Yeah,
right
there it
there.
is. All right. There you go. That's got the high
Oh,
fender and the pipe. All right. There you go. That's what it is.
That's
Sleepy.
not very scrambly though.
The left side looks
I'm
better
going to try some of that.
because the left side has the number plate on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I still like the front end.
I do,
I'm a
I
big
like
fan of the
it.
front end. I'm good with that.
But I need a pie plate on that other side and a pipe that goes up to the middle and cooks your leg.
Yes, I need a pipe that's probably going to burn me.
Yeah.
Yeah. To be as authentic as it possibly can be, I need the pipe to be up where it could hurt me. Yeah. Yeah.
Easy, Cinch. Easy now.
Honestly, I think Thrust and Justin said this before. If you want to see the pipe, you have to buy it a couple of drinks first. I think
Fair enough.
and I think that might be a Thrust and Justin greatest hits. But it is true. I did check, and the pictures of it on the port side do have the pie plate, and the pictures on the starboard side do not have the pie plate. So that's
sad.
That's the level of asymmetry we're going to have to get used to around here.
I mean, it's still a beautiful bike.
It
I'm
is
not
still a
dogging
great
it
bike,
anyway.
and for being a 400cc class, it's going to be cheap as chips. I'm a fan. Yep. Yeah, I'm cool with that. And they did it in Gulf livery, so that's nice. So, yeah, good stuff, guys. I approve. I'm super excited about it. It's nice to be excited about little fun bikes, right? Because that's cool. That's good shit. The DAX.
Yes,
Who
but
Dax?
we love the Dax.
Dax.
Even your Dax is awesome.
DAX.
You got a sweet Dax.
It turns out the timer went off, ding, and it's been exactly long enough for somebody to make a custom kit for the Honda DAX.
Oh shit! I need
And
this now.
I am just fucking just chuffed. I'm just pleased as punch that this thing exists. I'm super, super happy. It is all that I wanted, and it will be mine. It is a kit that they're offering that's going to make your new DAX look like an old DAX. So the problem is it hasn't come to fruition yet. We are all still living in the ether of the future of vaporware. But this, if you want to throw this up, the video on the bottom, we're probably going to demonetize for that. I'm gonna have to turn
Nah,
that
it's
off.
all right. It's fine.
All right.
Ain't playing.
Go ahead and you can just flip the picture of the screen I've got up there. That's the goal, right? That's what everybody wants, right? I mean, let's be honest. That is a real Honda mini trail set.
That's what my memory is.
Right. That's what we're remembering.
Mm-hmm.
And the closer you get to that, I think the happier everyone's going to be. It's going to be it's going to be a challenge. It's not going to be as easy as the monkey bike. The monkey bike was a good platform where people could build onto that so easily. But I think that the DAX has got that center frame section. Although it's 30% bigger or 40% bigger than the original was on the mini trail, I got to say, when you look at this bike and you look at the DAX, they're not so far off that a couple of items wouldn't be enough to just push it over the edge.
So is that what they do?
Well, first of all, wraps and decals are your friend.
Wraps and decals are absolutely your friend. Having that Spectrum stripe on the side is going to be the answer. That's going to be the deal. And for me, as a potential buyer, setting a bike up like this, I've got one now, and I do want to spend the money. Congratulations, Honda. You did it. You kicked me, right. You kicked me in the balls long enough with, Groms and trails, and I've dumped, my Honda Trail had every Farkle on it. My Super Cub had every Farkle on it, and I've got an unfarkled DAX. Well, this tyranny can't stand. I got to fix that. We got to do something about that. So now the trick is going to be, how far can we go with a Honda DAX customization? Can we go with Honda? What?
Let's all Farkle our DAXs.
Let's Farkle.
Talk about getting demonetized.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm going to make a shout, because when I saw this video of this guy who takes a real Honda Trail 70 and just customizes the piss out of it. Like, he really does a great job of making it faster. It's got a 140cc motor in it. He does a lot of things to take that stock bike, or what is ultimately a Chinese copy of his stock bike, and make it into the 140cc bike that Honda should have built, right? Mm-hmm. Or the logical extension of what that bike could be.
My friend Don Slicker bought a Sky Team CT70 last year down in Mid-Ohio and did a lot of fun things with it. And upgraded it. He swapped out the rear swing arm with a better one, painted some things, put stickers on it. Looks like a real nice bike. Plus, he's got a 125 with a 4-speed and electric start.
Yeah, and that's exactly the kind of stuff I'm talking about. The making of the current model, the new model Honda Dax, into something fucking fantastic. And I'm really hoping that somebody comes up with something pretty darn quick, because
Are you trying to take it more to the classic, or you want to go like apeshit custom?
well, that's the problem. Is it appears to me as a lot of guys are going apeshit custom.
Yeah, like go on WeBike.
Right.
There's dudes that have like the seats are gone and the seat sinks into the top of the Dax and shit. It's insane already.
Yep. And if you pull up that image I got right now, that this is a Dax that is done like the most off-roady that you can do with the current stuff. They're doing the high fenders, which a lot of companies are offering the high fenders. They're doing luggage bars, bag carriers on the back, so you can put 3 bags on the back of the thing. There's a lot of stuff that's available, but everything that's available isn't making it look more old.
No, but Pete's
Right?
already got one of those in the more. Like I could see you doing like that's going to be your Argentina trip on a Dax.
It'd be like the adventurous, you know.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you could do something like that.
Yeah, so I just haven't seen any manufacturers leaning it towards how do we make the bike more of what it's emulating.
Yeah.
You know, how do we get and I did see a company that's doing the chrome bars that go from the headstock down under the motor, the engine cradle bars.
Oh, yeah.
And so I found a company that's doing that.
With the skid plate?
With skid plate and the whole deal. It's a really cool setup. It's a really cool job they're doing. You can get them in chrome or in black. That will help. And then the higher chrome fender, I found a company that's doing the higher chrome fender. The problem was during that period of time with tariff shenanigans, they just shut down. They were just straight up like, we're not just taking any chances. This is it. We're just going to take a time out while America sorts its shit out. We'll start shipping to you again once they get that settled down. And their entire catalog, though, they had some really, really cool shit. But I think that not a lot of the stuff that was in there was really aiming too much at the vintage, sort of the replicating of that real Honda Trail 70.
Right.
You know? And that's a thing that I think would be really fun. I think that would be super
Have you
cool.
seen the body kits they have for like Chris's bike, the Monkey, that make it look like a mini Africa Twin?
Mini Africa Twin or Bosazoku
Yeah.
bikes. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
they're going all kinds of cool directions with this stuff. And, you know, I think, you hang around long enough, the art's going to come out for these 125 platform Hondas. Tanuki, drank. Yeah, and I mean, I think kind of that's the goal. So, because I've had 7 or 8 people come into the shop this week that were like, oh, yeah. They're talking to me about every bike in the world. And then I have the Dax in there, and they see the Dax, and it just stops them. They just stop. They're just like, they were here to look at Moto Guzzis. And now that's just like, stop. We got to talk about the Dax. And that is a very, very powerful thing. When there's 125 other bikes in the shop, they see the Dax, and they stop, and they got to talk about it. And that's something. Wow, not a lot of bikes have that kind of power to be able to do that. Really, really interesting, really cool. But what I'm seeing is not going retro. What I'm seeing is going off-roady, more performance, like that kind of thing. Look, man, it's 125 cc. It likes going 52 miles an hour, maxed out. You're not going to scare a whole lot more HP out of that bike. Let's lean into making it look more like the Trail 70 that it was based on.
I mean, especially with those smaller bikes compared to even other engines, like when you start to try to push the horsepower out, your reliability is dropping immensely.
I think you're right. I think it's
know?
going to go way down.
In looking for examples, I've stumbled across the Daxter.
The Daxter?
K-Speed Daxter. No.
Or is it a replica?
No. It's a Dax. It's a custom Dax.
Okay. All right.
DAXSTER from a company called K-Speed.
Okay. All right. K-Speed.
And they make a
Daxter.
lot of stuff for a lot of other bikes too.
Okay.
But this
All
is
right.
the one that popped up.
Oh, this is the Japan. Yeah, these guys.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, these guys are cool. $11,500 hairs. $11,500. I mean, come on, man. That's crazy.
But
I mean, it's cool.
the pipe
Don't get
has
me
got
wrong.
Well, it's got the full tuned length pipe where it goes back and doubles back around. It's insane.
Yeah, because you don't want to give up your back pressure.
No.
On these bikes and small 4-strokes, I know when we say tune length, you're like, oh, that's a 2-stroke thing. No, on 4-strokes, if you give up your back pressure, when you put that extraordinarily loud pipe on your TNT 135,
Oh, it's terrible.
you gave up all your back pressure.
Yep.
Did the bike go faster?
No.
It was a hell of a lot louder.
It was louder. Didn't really do much anything. In fact, I think on launch, I think in first and second, it slowed it down.
It did because
Oh, absolutely.
you're giving up your back pressure.
Yep.
Your back pressure. You're giving up part of that
If
formula.
anybody wants to try it, I still have the steady garage pipe in my garage.
It'll flow like a son of a bitch,
Yeah.
but it's not going to make your life faster.
Nope.
Yeah, it's going to be, if anything, it's going to be a little weaker off the thump, off the
It
drop.
sounds like you're going faster.
It sounds, that fucking thing sounded awful. That was so noisy.
Tell me, I rode it on the Lake Erie Loop for half the ride.
Fat guy in everybody says, and the monkey's made from some live action anime movie to have the fairings that look like dustbin.
Yes!
Fairings. I just saw that today. It was so cool looking. It says Capsule on the side. I think their name is Capsule Tuning or something like that.
Oh, really?
or-
It's not just a Akira thing?
Oh, maybe. It might have been that, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
that's the
cool.
NM4.
Yeah, the NM4 Akira bike, the accidental Akira bike.
Oh.
But that is beautiful. The Daxter's gorgeous. Don't get me
yeah.
don't get me wrong.
But I
But
think
that
that's-
is a totally different flavor.
Well, you know what's neat about it is that, compared to like trying to customize a Ducati or
Yeah.
customize a car.
And they didn't cut the frame. That tail
Oh, yeah.
section is exactly how it looks. I've taken everything off there. That's
But
what
if
it
you're
looks
like a 20-something-year-old person or whatever, like it's still affordable enough that like if you have a decent job, you have
Yeah.
a couple bucks, it's like you can put a bunch of fucking money into one of these things,
Yeah, I see a lot of weird work happening in the swing arm area. The pipe is special, undoubtedly, right? But the frame, there's not a lot going on there. That's they've fabbed up that rear rack thing. That's cool. There's a lot of
a
stuff
lot of
there.
detail. I'll give them that.
A lot of detail. It's a really cool looking bike. It really
Yeah,
is.
the more you look at it, man, I'm not really dogging their price, man. If they did all that work,
Tons of work there.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm cool with it. I'm glad Tom found it. It's cool looking, man. It's a cool looking bike. Yeah,
But
I have and I love that they went to the retro style handlebars.
Yeah.
Even if they don't fold up and move and stuff,
dude, you
they
got to
look
get
cool.
those for yours at least. That's a good look.
It is a big. That is
Yeah.
a big element of what makes a Trail 70 a Trail 70
Yeah.
is those handlebars.
You're right.
And so having the folding handlebars, having that aesthetic of those folding banana bars,
Yeah.
it
Especially
really
if
is.
you wreck it a couple times and they bend in, so you're like, your wrists are
Like
touching.
that. Yeah.
Or when you've moved them too many times and they're real sloppy now, so they just jiggle the whole time you're riding them. Yeah, that's cool. I love it. I'm just a huge fan. So well done. That's a K-Speed Daxter. That's pretty badass. I love
So the
that shit.
monkeys, the hunter cubs, and now the Dax too, they're really just blank canvases for like fertile imaginations. You can do, like
Absolutely.
Steve said, you could do a lot to them, go in many different directions, and for not a lot of money.
Yeah, and that is.
Well, this is all transition off, the ruckus from a couple of years ago into the Grom and now into all the newer, smaller Honda stuff that's coming out. It's just the Japanese have been doing this for 30 years, and now we're catching up.
Yeah, absolutely, and that is absolutely true. Well,
because you get guys like Grom Beardo that are just building stuff for these.
Yeah, and when you see that and you go, okay, check out this market. I'm creative. I can weld. I can do whatever. I'm going to make my bike super special and fancy. But then somebody goes, well, if you made one, can you make 100? Right? And it's not getting into giant scale. It's not getting a giant scale production. But for those people that are involved, you're going to have some cool bikes, man. You're going to have some really cool bikes. Last news story of the day, Ducati Diavel. Okay, I've ridden a number of these bikes. We've had them come into the shop. We've done work on them.
That's the Italian VMAX, right?
It is. We understand what the Ducati Diavel is. We get it. We get it. And just like we said recently at the Triumph launch when we were there and they released the new Rocket 3, the Rocket 3 has been in the gym working out. It lost a lot of its bulk. It has gotten lean. It's been swimming. It's been running, right? It is no longer the ridiculous thing that it was.
But it also got more power.
It got more power. It did get more power. And that ridiculous 2.5 liter motor, and now its motor transportation system, isn't quite as clown car freakish as it used to be. Well, the DFL has, from day one when the DFL came out, I've always said, damn Ducati, like, okay, you wanted to build a cruiser. They instead built what can only be called a hot rod, right? It's not a cruiser. There's no part of it that's a cruiser. It doesn't have, apes on it. It's not a cruiser. It's a hot rod, and it's a really good example of a hot rod. But what it isn't, I've never looked at that bike and said, yeah, that's sexy, right? Not once have I looked at that machine and went, yeah, this is a bike that I seriously would like to own because I think it's really, really attractive. No, not at all. The Ducati Diavel has been out since 2015. It's been a nightmare for people trying to pronounce it. It is. It's a cool bike, undoubtedly, right? But Ducati apparently said, it's been 10 years. That thing's a bit of a porker. We're changing the game. And boy, did they change the game. They went fucking bonkers. This thing looks different.
Yeah.
It looks different. Aside from the 4-barreled revolver sticking out the right side that the exhaust has come out of, which is freaky looking.
Do you know what this looks like?
Tell me.
It looks like the Panigale V4 is in the Transformers movie, and it's in the middle of transforming out of the Panigale V4. And that's not a bad thing. It's kind of it's real. It's like you're seeing all the guts of the Panigale.
And this is the V4.
Out. Yeah, right. So
right.
it's like that's what I'm saying. It's like exploding out of it.
Yeah.
Like
so
it's fucking kind of sexy.
Motor change. It did, and it looks skinnier.
Yeah.
So all the parts don't look as chunky anymore.
Because I was thinking, I'm like, why do they have 4 pipes for 2 cylinders?
Yeah.
It's a V4. That thing will be. That's 220 horsepower, dude.
Well, it's not.
So it's a Tuono.
Oh, it's not. They unhorsepowered it?
They did.
Oh.
So it's $29,000. It is tuned for mid-range. So it did get a little, it's 168 horsepower.
I mean, that's enough to make
That's
your balls
still
shake.
plenty.
Yeah.
It's 93 foot-pounds of torque.
That's enough for a little ride.
But it's funny because I think the torque might be exactly the same as it was when it was a V2. So give or take, right? It's a big old boy, but it's only 500 pounds. Now, they do say wet weight, no fuel, 505. Okay, all right. We'll see about that.
So
Well,
don't
that
put
gas
on,
tank can only
don't put
hold
on the
like
back-
7 liters. So
Okay.
don't put it on the back of your Subaru.
Now, okay, maintenance service intervals. There are 4 cylinders on this motorcycle, and each of these motorcycle cylinders has 4 valves. And a maintenance service interval of 9,000 miles is going to come upon you rather quickly and expensively.
Yeah. Just the parts, I can tell you. I'm not mad that I didn't have to do that job, man. Holy fuck.
So just want to make sure you're fully aware before you sign the papers. This old gal here, this was a 2-cylinder, right? And this one, this is a 4-cylinder. And I got to say, it is fucking dead sexy. It's a beautiful bike. It's just fucking gorgeous.
Yeah.
Hats off to him. It looks so much better than the old one.
Whoever
I'm
they
not
brought
into
in,
it, just so you know.
I'm not
Yeah,
either.
It's fine.
Nope.
It's fine.
I'm just
all
not
right.
into it.
I
To
like
me,
it.
it's like a CTX, like the Honda
Oh,
CTX.
you're saying it's too long and stretched out?
It looks like
Yeah,
a V-Rod or something.
Well, that's the point of it, though. It's supposed to be like a power cruiser or a
Yeah,
fucking sport.
I
power
still go
cruiser.
hot. I still
I'm not-
say
I
hot
can't
rod.
figure it out, and I'm not into it.
See, but if you look at it for what it is, I mean, I don't know if I'd buy one, but if you look at it for what it is, the designer that they have in right now that's doing all the bikes, they got way more sexy.
Yeah, they did.
They look like the renderings of a few years ago that they wished they could do.
They look like artist concepts.
Yeah.
They do. They're bending plastic. They're bending metal in impossible ways.
It doesn't
Now-
look like an appliance or a Lego, so I'm out.
It doesn't look like you can pop your toast in the morning.
No boxy is no good.
I'm more of a brutalist.
No boxy, no bueno. There is what I would like to say about this motorcycle is
V4.
exactly 2 feet. Yeah, exactly 2 feet behind the front axle. There is an area that I will call the abyss of darkness,
Yeah.
where it does look like you dived headlong into the Matrix movie, like when they're stuck in the Matrix and there's all those like octopods coming at them and shit. Like that's what's going on in that engine room. In the engine room, you cannot tell by looking at it what is where.
No, and look behind it. Does
Yeah.
it have like a 1x1 muffler? Like what is?
I cannot tell.
From the back of
Honestly,
the
can't
engine,
tell.
you have
Yeah.
like a foot of blackness.
Yeah.
What could that be?
Oh yeah, between what any normal person would consider to be like the countershaft sprocket.
Yeah.
Between the countershaft sprocket and the back of the tire is about 4 feet long. It's like, I didn't order the one with the extended swing arm.
Yeah, you did.
That's how they come. That is it. That's how they come.
Because the older one had that obnoxious rear tire.
Yes, the older
Does
one.
this still have the obnoxious
I
rear tire?
think this does. I think it is. But when you look at the first gen, when you look at like the first Diavel, you're looking at this one. You're like, yeah, I understand. My brain understands how that motor
Well,
works.
the pipes.
The pipes
define
point to
that.
right. The pipes point to where the power.
Yep.
The pipes point to where the fire is. Right. That's what's going on.
That's where the money goes in.
Right. That's exactly right. But on this one, there is no. I mean, you just have no idea. You're just totally fucking confused.
It looks like
Yeah.
a picture of a little kid that tried to draw a motorcycle, and they didn't know how like the details of the motorcycle.
Or maybe you drew a motorcycle and you stretched it.
No, he just scribbled it in dark, like with a black marker.
Oh yeah, in the middle. He's like, motor goes here.
Yeah, I know, because I'm looking at a better contrasted version of this, and it literally is just an extended swing arm to get the tire out from underneath the rear butt.
Okay. Still giving you the option of losing your passenger and having her get sucked into the middle by that giant tire. Yeah,
Those are funny videos.
Which is the thing that happens.
I did see somebody on the DGR that had
they
a
cracked me
had a
up.
Diavel actually. So, and I was like, wow, you got a passenger on the back of it. They're brave.
Yeah, I've ridden a bunch of them, and they are.
Should be a monoposto. I get it.
They're fine. They're fine. They're
The tail is most offensive.
the tail. Yeah, or the lack of tail, right? Yeah, this is an overhead shot. I pulled up an overhead shot if you guys want to check it out. The overhead shot does kind of, give you a little bit of an idea of more of the
I would
curves.
rather have a VMAX.
Because I
Oh,
really honestly think
Dude,
I really
that's
honestly
sexy,
think the
man.
swing arm is out there just so you can get that car tire out from behind it.
I would rather have a VMAX.
It's like a factory dark sider.
It is.
I mean, listen,
like
if
a
I had
Bosch
28 grand,
Hoss.
I would not buy this for $28,000. But if somebody was like, here, ride this bike, I would proudly ride that bike.
Sleepy, all you got to do
It
is
doesn't have any ram air intake.
all you've got to do is wait till it gets to 8,000 miles, and then it's going to be ready for the $10,000 service, so you can just buy it on the cheap then.
No,
Well,
that's-
and we will say that all of this streetification did cost the bike in the neighborhood of 40 horsepower.
It looks like somebody put a stretch swing arm on an MV Agusta Brutal.
Okay.
That's pretty much where I'm going with this. Is they decided a 240 rear end.
Ooh,
on a-
you
on
should
a
pull up a
Brutale.
Brutale next to this and see like the 2025. See, I bet you Tom's right. That's a very similar bike.
You probably want to look up the Brutale Dragster, which is what the is going to be the closest thing that looks like.
Yeah, I think you're right.
The back wheel off that thing looks like it came from a Ford Mustang or something.
Exactly.
It did. That's the size. We don't want to pull up that stupid red, white, and blue dragster. That thing was fucking weird. We'll do this one.
Was that? Oh, okay.
All right, we'll
think
do this
the
one. I think this is probably the best one. But you're right. The dragster is probably the closest. So this is the MV
It's a
Agusta
bit more
Brutale.
squished
or the
in,
MV Agusta
but-
dragster.
Yeah.
Yep.
That hurts my eyes.
That one. This definitely looks like a sport bike got in a wreck and they took half the fairings off.
This one does. This one
That
looks like.
muffler really hurts my eyes.
And they couldn't find the back seat, so they found an old Gixxer's back seat and stuck it on the top. They're like, that'll
Here,
get
you
you
just sit
home,
on this.
dude.
Basically,
Yeah.
this is 3 crashed motorcycles.
Yeah.
Let's bring up the VMAX. Come on.
That motorcycle's a chode.
This no wait, you know
Motorcycles
what?
and
This looks like the Chinese version of like the Ducati we were just looking at.
Well, the worst one is this. I mean, we'll put it in perspective of how bad it could be. This is how bad it could be, right? This was the one that we talked about in the podcast years ago when it came out, and we were like, they just need to stop. They just fucking have to
Is that on
stop.
the bottom?
Well, it's track stance.
The skid plate.
Oh, you mean
and
the
a
skid
plate
plate?
and a diffuser? Yeah.
The skid plate muffler? Yeah.
I kind of like the rear tire though.
You mean the giant
The
rear
aero
wheel?
fan.
You know, suddenly, Moto Morini makes a lot more
Look,
sense.
when you say the word dragster to an Italian, no matter what it's on, whatever he's working on, if you say the word dragster, he's going to put a giant Mickey Thompson cheater slick size tire on the back, right? Because he only pictures dragster in the quarter-mile top fuel sense of the word.
Right.
So when you say dragster to an Italian, if you call the boat a dragster boat, it's going to have a giant rubber tire on the back of it and a little tiny one on the front. That's the same with the dragster scooter. It was like, why does that bike need a fucking 15 on the back when it's got a 12 in the front? Just makes buying tires
just do it.
real fucking hard.
Just do it.
So speaking of buying tires real fucking hard, Chris talked to me recently about buying some tires for his Moto Guzzi California 1400.
Ooh, the
And
big
I
girl.
thought, We do that all the time. How hard could it possibly be? Not challenging. Barely an inconvenience. We order tires. It's what we do. Well, my friend, today I got an education about buying tires of a certain size. Chris's tire is a 200 by 60 by 16. Okay. It's a big tire. It's a heavy duty tire. It's designed to carry a lot of weight. And it turns out they're very expensive. But what shocks me about this is the range of very expensive, because they're very expensive in I had to actually check to see whether I was looking at yen or dollars, because the price is wild. And even
That's just what Chris likes to hear. Mrs. Smith isn't going to like this one bit.
260/16. Just go dark side on that.
well, so okay, yes, because
Oh, dude. People will lose their minds when they comment right
I just wanted to throw that out there.
this is the first time in a long time.
Sleepy, I recommended that.
This is the first time in a long time that I've said, oh, maybe going dark side isn't such a bad idea. Because the price of these tires is shitstronomical.
Wait, Drew Carey. Let's see if we can play a game here.
Oh, let me pull up my show notes because I think we can play a game here. So we're going to go MSRP, manufacturer's recommended pricing for these tires. This is not getting it from your brother who works at Avon and has the keys to the back door. This is going to be the actual price of the tires. This is what people pay for them. Let's find out what it is.
One pair, you're saying.
This is for an tire. So we're going to
One
just talk
tire.
about the back
Just the back
tire
tire.
in particular. The back tire in particular. Why?
I'll start the bidding.
Because it's goofy. All right. So now I'm going to go ahead and we'll just pull one up, and I'm going to go ahead and we're going to pull up the Dunlop. So we're going to pull up the Dunlop, which, by the way, I must preface this by saying this is not the Dunlop American Elite that is actually made in America. This is the Dunlop 79V rated, so it's very, very heavy duty tire. The Dunlop D251, an extremely well-rated tire in the Harley-Davidson community. In fact, you can buy this tire with the Harley-Davidson logo emblazoned already on it and spend more money. The MSRP of this tire is, anyone? Let's start. Dan.
$250.
Sleepy.
$479.
I was going to say 500. It's got to be under 500, please.
Steve, I was going to say 479. I'm not going to dick you and say 480.
Oh, we can
I'm
tie.
gonna go,
It's fine.
No, I'm going to go 529.
529. Go ahead, Chris.
I'm going with the recaps at 79.
Tom, I don't think I
Now
told you.
I've bought 250 and 300 rear tires, so I kind of know how expensive this can get.
Throw out a number, Tom.
I'm going 4.25.
$538.95.
Yeah, Pete.
Are those the wrinkle walls?
Hold on. $538.95 for an tire. Now, this bike left the factory with Dunlop American Elites. I didn't give you the price for those. The only place I was able to find that I could buy Dunlop American Elites from, nobody has them on the shelves, was Moto Guzzi, Piaggio. And I found them. Renee found them. MSRP, $828 for one tire.
How many miles does it last for?
What's the bike worth?
Yeah, no shit.
Oh no, the bike
$695.
The bike is now totaled.
Okay. Now, granted, we might think, okay, but we don't need to go out and buy Dunlop D251s. Now, by the way, I have to inform you something about motorcycle community, that Dunlop D251s are really good tires, trusted by Harley-Davidson enthusiasts, trusted by Goldwing enthusiasts. It's a good tire. It is that 79V rating, which is a nice heavy
and
duty.
cursed at by every mechanic that's ever had to put one on a fucking rim.
They are run flats.
Oh yeah.
They are goddamn near run flats. It might as well say run flat on the side, because the sidewall on that cocksucker, when you get into a 79V,
It's still belted.
it's steel belted. And it is. It is a steel belted tire.
sidewall.
Okay. So let's be cheap. Let's just put on the cheap shoes and let's just come at it and let's go
Kenda.
straight for. Hold on, they don't make a Kenda. All right, let's go straight for the tire that was aimed at the Harley Davidson community, who have the wide tires on the back.
Cooper Cobras.
Not Cooper, Avon Cobras. Avon Cobra Chromes. Now, tires don't have any chrome on them. So it's important that when a tire calls itself the Cobra Chrome, you know exactly who they're aiming at, right? Because chrome.
Right.
Instinctively, people in certain communities buy chrome. So Avon decided to put the word chrome on their tires. Now, putting chrome on the name of a thing that can't possibly contain chrome is a bit of an interesting flex.
Right.
Price guests, this is a much cheaper tire. I'm just going to cut the bleeding. $471
Wow.
for the Avon Cobra Chromes, which they should call the Cobra Cons. I think that'd be awesomer.
I'm paying the extra $50 for my tire, not to say
If it's
chrome on it.
If it's the,
Less
they,
chrome.
They made those for the M109.
Okay, friends, we would like to tell you the cheapest tire that we can get through Parts Unlimited, national tire retailer, for a 260 by R16 size, but it is not, unfortunately, in the 79V load rating category. Chris is going to have to consider having less heavy passengers. Okay?
Well, what about Chris?
Chris, you're going to lose weight.
He's going down to
Going
a
on
70.
a diet here.
He's going down to a 79H load rating. It's okay, Chris. You're safe. You're still within 1,000 pounds. I think you're going to be all right. Okay? So Chris is going to save some money by going to a lesser load rated tire, and he's going to get the Bridgestone Excedra G852P, stands for Poor Edition. It is $379 for the cheapest piece of retail rubber I could find for the back of Chris's
Or a
motorcycle.
Kia Rio.
Does that include
fucking-
installation?
Well, this is the
Rio
point.
rear
is-
tire for $46, dude. Like, come on, that's a roundy little fucking tire.
There are literally thousands of 16-inch car tires on the
Yeah.
planet that will fit on his rim.
Yeah,
$69 inside. The tire world across the street.
And it
can
will
sell
last
60
for 60,000 miles, no problem.
I mean, shit, dude. What about one of those fucking Razor tires? Don't they have those in 16-inch? There's got to be other things you can slap on that.
I
thing.
was shocked. I was
Yeah.
shocked when I saw the price of those tires. And the front's no picnic either. The front is just a 130 by 80 by 18 on the front.
Yeah.
Which that size tire is a very common tire for the back of old Honda motorcycles and CB750s and shit like that. That's a tire that we've used forever. But it's not a back, it's a front. And so front tires and back tires are very different. So front tires make the hole the rain goes through. You push the water out of the way. So you shouldn't take a back tire and put it on the front. So fronts and backs are a little different, but backs to fronts are a bad idea. So anyway, that tire was the cheapest one I could find was $289. $289 for a front tire is a shit ton of money for a front tire. You just said you bought some racing tires, and you're like, I bought some racing tires. I know what expensive tires look like. Well, you're still surprised, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely.
Fuck yeah, I'm surprised too. That's because there's been some massive price increases in the United States on things. There's been some knee-jerk reactions. I honestly can't tell you whether this is just swinging the needle way too hard because of the tariffs or what. I don't know. But it is fucking ridiculous. And it is ridiculous. If you're buying tires right now, be careful, boys. Be careful because the shit is gone bananas. It's nuts. It's just crazy. And if you're out there, oh, and by the way, don't just type that tire size into Google and say tires for sale. Talk to your doctor before starting Bridgestone, etc. Yes, exactly, Sean. If your Excedra lasts for more than 4 hours, contact your urologist. I went on when you type that tire size in, look, guys, I'm 55 years old. I'm aware that Google exists, okay? Yeah, no shit.
I typed that into Google, and Google told me $59.95.
Well, that's the top of the Google search page. Keep clicking.
Yeah, that's the Cooper Cobras.
Keep clicking. That is a tire that is like a 3.5 by 10. Then when you go to the subset and you click on the size you need, then it will take you up to the $500 tire. I hate it when people come into my shop and go, you charged me $259 for my tire and that tire cost $93. I can go on Google and prove it to you. And they go to the landing page of Google and they type in their tire size and it literally says, Revzilla tire, $99. Well, that is for the super skinny front tire for that bike. if you go in and you click on the tire that you need, the actual size you need, you'll find the price is considerably higher. So yeah, be fucking careful out there. Tires are expensive.
Well, it seems like just across the board. I mean, like just even before all the tariff stuff started, it seemed like tires have been going up a little bit.
Yeah, they have. They've been working their way up for the past couple of years. This one killed me was
even 3.5 tens for like older Vespas and stuff have almost doubled in price since we started. Like S83s have gotten outrageous.
Oh, it's gone 100%.
Yeah.
It's absolutely gone up 100%. A tire that we used to buy and sell all day long for $59 is $120 now. And the front tire, which I pulled up because it fucking killed me, the D291 is over $300, $388 for a fucking front tire. That's a front tire.
Again, how many miles are expected out of this thing?
A lot.
Like 10?
Your mileage may vary.
Okay.
If I can train you to use your front brake the way you're supposed to, right?
Right.
And in a perfect world, your front tire and your back tire die in the same day, probably 11 grand.
Wow.
If you're that guy. But most of the guys that come into my shop are not that guy.
I mean, the BV400 we just took in with the threads showing.
No,
at about
2 layers of thread showing.
That's true.
It had been through the first layer of thread and was working on its second layer of threads, and that was at about 4,000 miles, 5,000 miles. Wow. So if you're terrified of your front brake,
these are Michelin City Grip 2s.
Yeah, these are really good tires. But if you're terrified of your front brake, you're going to pay for it with your wallet. You know, I've changed my riding style, and I can tell you that I'm getting a hell of a lot more miles out of a back tire now that I've changed my riding style.
Sean just chimed in and said the SLK he just got.
Yeah.
The tires for that were expensive.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
There you go.
Yeah. Ask me if the Michelins I just threw on the SLK. Yeah. Well, so Sean? What do tires cost for your SLK, which is a 20-year-old sports car at this point, right? 20-year-old convertible. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's something people could afford to buy. So that'd be an interesting thing.
I bet they're cheaper per tire than the than the Moto Guzzi
probably. Tire. Yeah, I think they would have to be per tire. But motorcycle tires are a little different, a little more complicated than car tires.
This camera was the greatest.
This camera is the best idea ever. Yes. Yeah. That is a good idea. Yeah, if it had a zoom, we'd be perfect.
But he's breathing a lot easier with the pen caps.
He is. I agree. I think the pen caps are doing their job. I totally agree with that.
Sean chimed in. He said $1,000.
$1,000
per tire? No,
I assume all four.
Well, that's
not so bad.
It's $250 a tire. I could live with that.
Yeah,
I could live with that.
If he's saying $1,000 a tire, you're the wrong dude. Talk to another dude.
I'm not putting run flats on an SLK.
I was gonna say
if you get off on State Road, there's
he's not ordering tires. 200 series tires.
I think my Pirellis for my old RX-7 weren't that cheap, but then again, it was 20 years ago.
Well, the long and short of it is tires are a lot more expensive.
So
they really are. And and on that note, if you're coming to AMA Vintage Days, we are going to bring. I think I'm going to bring 100 tires. I think that's going to be my goal. I'm going to bring 100 brand new tires, new old stock.
Yeah.
So I'm going to bring out 100 brand new tires. They'll all be brand new, but they'll be old. So if you need tires for your bike and you're not scared of wood, we'll have them there. And I will have them priced at disposable prices, right? I know what they give you at the recycling center when you bring in a tire. So I'm going to have them priced slightly higher than that. But you can't buy them from me and take them to the recycling center and win. But I'm going to bring 100 tires. I figure we'll bring 100 tires. We'll put them up on top of Dan's trailer. Yeah. Line them up real nice.
Well, we need to clear out the loft.
And think about
we need to clear out the loft.
If you are one of the people that are coming down to do the Burnout contest, what smokes up the best? New or old tires? And also, what lasts longer and slides better?
The trick is if you're going to do a smoky burnout, you do that on a nice, delicately aged tire.
Yeah.
Yeah, a nice.
You slide that puppy on there. Now you got a tire you don't care about burning up.
Right. Oh, but that would mean they have to change their tires, and I can tell you, not too many people these days know how to change their tires.
Well, they can learn.
Yeah.
They're
They should be in Mid-Ohio. Just knock that shit
They're doing burnouts and have a beat up bike. They put some tires.
And you know what? All you got to do is get the bead on and let the starting fluid do the rest of the work.
Yeah.
You'll be fine. Yeah, that'll seat it. I promise. So anyway, that was today's oh my God. Yeah. I was like, Chris is not going to be happy about this. This is great. But you know what? That dark side's never been looking so good.
Dude.
Well, it's not like that bike's got to turn that far
That's
anyway.
the thing. You could get like the fucking top notch, like fucking.
I didn't know Firestone made motorcycle tires. They don't.
Yeah. But seriously, you'd probably put a touring tire on there, do like 58,000 miles, never
We
have
have,
to worry
like
about
I said, we have a lot of people that we know and trust that have said that they work just fine.
Well, you told me a couple of weeks ago there was a guy that has put thousands upon thousands of miles on a dark side tire.
But we talked about
The
this.
guy
in
that paid for these microphones had a car tire on the back of his big Yamaha for like 60,000 miles and then put the car tire on his AK 550 scooter.
Right.
So, you know.
Yeah, right.
But we talked even back about things like depends on what bike. Like if you're trying to take you're going to the twisties, you're not going to like that. But if you're riding a bagger and you mostly go on the highway, I mean, you're probably not going to fucking know the difference.
If I had,
And you're probably not going to run it at 42 psi. You're probably going to run it at 26
Yeah.
psi. So there's a little flex there.
I mean, if I had a gold wing, I wouldn't mind. I mean, you're riding straight anyway. Big cruiser like that.
It also might be
wouldn't mind.
Right, and it also might be exactly what the doctor ordered.
And half the tires that I change, I change now because they're all city
Only
riding with
worn
no
out in the
curves. they might as well be dark side of the thing anyway because it's literally just down the middle.
Believe me, that is so true.
I mean,
Yeah,
that
that's
BV400,
absolutely true.
you're showing the threads in the middle of the BV400, but those sides, man, if you rode it at an angle, you could ride for another 10,000 miles.
It's, like, that tire, I shot that little video, and I was like, man, there must have been a cross-country trip involved. There must have been just the straightest, flattest trip. And then also, I could tell that there must be a sweet spot on his rotor because 90% of his tire is worn 90% of the way. 10% of his tire is worn 115% of the way, right? So there's one spot on that tire that was definitely yielding before any of the rest of the tire was. And after 5,000 or 6,000 miles, it shows itself.
And that's an ABS bike, so
It is, yeah.
you know, it's not like he's locking them up and just getting it down the
And
street.
it's traction control.
And traction control, it's got ASR.
But think about it. I mean, like the tolerance for like the rubber and like the roundness. I mean, it might just be that was
That's
know
the spot.
even though it was weighted properly, it was just not around enough that burned through.
Or like you said, just a sweet spot on spot on the rotor. You know, a sweet spot on the rotor that just likes to, you know, give a little more resistance than the rest of it. Yeah. So.
Oh man, speaking of tires, I was reviewing some footage I shot a couple weeks ago down at the track, and I was up like on this dude with like some like 6,000 horsepower car, and I was on his back wheel.
Okay.
And when he does it, I was trying to get the wrinkle, so I was shooting at 120 frames a second, you know, to get like the dragster wheel wrinkling.
That's cool.
But I caught something I never saw before. It was the rim, even though it was bolted to the tire.
Okay.
The rim was spinning 5 or 6 times for every one time the tire was going because the horsepower overtook it, and somehow they must. I don't know if they didn't torque it right or anything. No. But the tire, everything moved.
Yeah.
It went like this. It went, and then the tire kind of stopped moving, and the rim kept going inside the tire, and then it kind of kept pulling it forward until it caught up and then took off.
Oh my.
It was fucking sick, dude.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's terrifying.
Yeah.
That is legitimately
Are you
terrifying.
talking about the video of the guy sticking his foot in the back wheel of a bike?
No.
No, we're talking about drag bike. Drag car.
Welcome back, John.
He's back.
back, John.
He's back. He's back. I was having a dream about some guy sticking his foot in the back tire of a motorcycle. So this week I had I had done one of those things that I don't try to do a lot anymore. I think I'm trying to heal myself, but this week something happened, and well.
Somebody listens to the podcast.
Does he have boots on? Get the Sharpie. Oh, man. Yeah, he wouldn't be able to go to work the next day. So this
I
week.
have no intention of going to work till Tuesday.
There you go. On Monday, I went out to conduct an archaeological experiment or an archaeological investigation on Monday. I got a mystery phone call from a chap, and a chap had told me that I needed to come and get a bike out of his garage. And when he told me what bike it was, I said, "You can't make me do it." And he said, but you don't understand. And then I clarified what the bike was, and I said, "Yeah, I'm not interested." He goes, "But you don't understand. It runs great." And I said, "It's running?" "Yeah, it runs great. It's awesome. It starts, it runs great. I just put new tires on it like 2 years ago." "Are you sure it's running?" "Oh, do you know what it sounds like when the motorcycle's running?" "Are you sure it's running?" And he said, It runs great. And I could tell by his voice he was just this side of 100. And cool. So I agreed to go out and perform a cursory inspection, if only to let the man die knowing that he gave it a shot. Because he says he'd called everywhere and nobody would buy this motorcycle from him. And I said, well, maybe you're asking money for it. And he goes, you mean too much money? And I said, no, money in general. This might be the situation for a relocation, not as much of a purchase. And I said,
rehoming.
Do you have a title? And I said, because they won't take it from me at the dump if it doesn't have a title. And he said, oh, it has a title. What, you're talking about the dump. And he got really fucking mad at me. So mad that I've said, well, if nothing else, I have to go out to this guy's house and see this thing.
No.
So Monday, after driving to Pittsburgh and everywhere else, at about 8 o'clock in the evening, I showed up in his driveway, and this was there. This is
no, that picture doesn't even do it justice.
No. This is a 2003 Moto Guzzi 1100 California EV. What this motorcycle is tubeless tires, well ahead of its time. You'll notice where the spokes are going to the outside of the rims. Very sexy. Brembo brakes all the way around. Super sexy. 1100 cc's of V-twin muscle, give or take 70 horsepower. Give or take 70 torques. It is...
Give or take 2 carburetors.
No, this is fuel injected.
This is
Okay.
literally, if not God's first motorcycle fuel injection, damn close to it. Because they did start building these bikes
the Cal 2 or 3, I can't remember which had the first fuel injection. It was real primitive. The Daytona had it too.
Absolutely.
And this was the one right after that.
1998.
Yeah.
So 1998, they started with this particular fuel injection system, and it's not bad. You balance it literally. There's a metal rod that connects the 2 fuel injector throttle bodies, and you literally balance it by moving a lock on the metal rod. So that the metal rod is the adjustment between the 2 sides of the fuel injector. So it doesn't even have carburetors. The only problem was Moto Guzzi said, well, we've conquered braking. This bike has fully adjustable suspension, I might add. That's well the fuck ahead of its time, 2003 for a cruiser bike. They said, we've conquered suspension. We've conquered Coke bottle-shaped gas tanks. I guess teardrop-shaped gas tanks. They certainly won that fucking category. We've conquered V-twininess. We have V, and it's a twin, so yay, that wins. They said it's shaft drive. We will never have to adjust the chain, ever. They said the only thing that would make this bike better is if it didn't have to make valve adjustments. Now, this motorcycle has the easiest to adjust valves on the planet. You'll notice you don't have to remove anything to do it. You take the valve covers off, the valves are staring at you. Mm-hmm. This is the king of the 30-minute valve adjustment, right? And they made it hydraulic valves. Now, normally, for most vehicles, when they make it hydraulic valves, that is the official chef's kiss. The engineers love us and want this motorcycle to last 300,000 miles. Unfortunately, in this particular case, the hydraulic valves that they got, the hydraulic tappets that they got, were just a little on the not good side. And there was a massive recall. And there was a massive recall where you would take your bike to the dealer and they would replace not 1, not 2, but all 8 of the hydraulic tappets. They would replace all 8 of them. And then once you put those in, the bike was nothing but wine and roses. Okay? The downside is, remember when I told you how easy it was to adjust the valves on the manually adjusted valve version of that particular vehicle? Well, getting the hydraulically adjusted tappets out of there is not so easy. It is kind of a bite in the dick. So, a lot of people had these bikes. There weren't too many Moto Guzzi dealers alive and well in 2003. And a lot of people had this bike and then found out through the grapevine. Remember, there wasn't the internet presence that we have now today. They found out through the grapevine, or they found out when they had a failure of their valve systems, when their valves collapsed, that their bike had a major problem very short into the ownership of said bike. And they ran back to their dealers, and they were justifiably upset, and the dealers did eventually get the 8 hydraulic valves that you needed, the replacement hydraulic valves that you needed, and they could fix the bikes and make them good again. Some guys went as far as to actually replacing them with mechanical adjusters, which is a thing that people did. I would think I would just go for the hydraulics. So now Schrodinger's valves. We don't know if they've been done or not. We do know the bike has, I think, 16,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's pushing 17.
Right. So we're not sure. So 16,000 miles. The fucker sounds delightful. And I started it today. And when I started it, I immediately reached down and I grabbed both exhaust headers. This is a test. You grab both exhaust headers, and if they both warm up at the same time, life is looking fucking good. But if you've got a valve that's hanging up, they will warm up at radically different temperatures. Your left hand will get hot before your right, or your right hand will get hot before your left. And then you've got a problem. You know that they're not balanced. You know something's not right. And if it's running and it's got a good idle, like it's supposed to, then you think your fuel injectors are usually pretty decent. Your throttle bodies are kind of, they're timed in. And man, I'm telling you, my hands got equally warm, like right up to the point where I was like, yep, can't hang on to it anymore. Right? Rode it around the block. It runs fucking great. It's kind of a magic motorcycle. I hate the way these motorcycles look with the passion of 1,000 suns. I do not enjoy looking at this motorcycle. This motorcycle hurts my eyeballs. It's not got a good angle. I know that I have a lot of friends that are really impressed by them and really like the way they look. But for me, I'm not one of them. They're not aesthetically pleasing bikes.
Is it still in that guy's garage?
Oh, no.
Oh, no, it's in our garage.
No, not at all. I rode it up into the back of the fucking truck after I gave him not one, not two, but $500 for it. Because, honestly, he's just a really good guy. And I would have given him $500 for just him continuing to be on planet Earth because he's a fucking great guy. He's a great guy, and I really enjoyed my time I spent with him. He's also got a 1969 Volkswagen I'd really like to own. Right? So I think it's better to be on his good side.
This is called priming the pump.
This is priming the pump. Or it's just letting the pump know that I'm here and I exist and I appreciate it.
You have fluffed him.
He has been fluffed.
It's been fluffed.
Yeah, he has been fluffed. There are certain, I've checked to see if this motorcycle looks better in other colors, and it doesn't. You can try it in blue.
I saw one of these things sitting in a field earlier this year. It was it was like an ivory colored tank, but the shape of the tank's what caught my eye initially. And
It hurt your eye, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. But then I saw
Caught your eye like a rusty nail.
I saw the head sticking out of it, and I'm like, that's an old Moto Guzzi sitting there.
It is an old Moto Guzzi sitting there.
So my favorite color of all, and I've been telling Phil this since he brought it home, is the hot dog stand.
The hot dog stand.
And it literally is Ronald McDonald yellow and red.
I believe that if you type in ketchup I'm going to try it because I've only ever heard people call it ketchup, that particular color combination, and it's awful. And that was like one of the last years that they did it.
You might have to search hot dog.
Here it is.
Oh, is that it?
There it is. Yep, there it is.
Oh, she's beautiful.
It's literally Ronald
Yeah,
McDonald.
throw that
red
up for the
yellow.
people at home. There it is.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, that is ketchup and mustard. The California EV.
I call that Mac Sabbath.
Hey, we were both at that show.
It's the atomic fireball of Guzzi.
It is so
But
bad.
that also has the other tail light though. That has the dual
cruiser
dual,
tail light.
Yeah, it has the
Yeah.
two tail lights
Yeah,
instead of the
it's a
single one like the
cruiser
one
tail
you've
light.
got.
Yeah.
The one that'll make Teslas kill you.
This is a motorcycle that the year before I signed up to be a dealer for Guzzi, they still had some of these hanging around. No shit. Shockingly. Shockingly. And so when I signed up and made my initial order for Moto Guzzis with the sexy V7 Chrome Racer and all that cool shit, all the great bikes that they had, my rep said, oh, and by the way, you have to take a California EV. And I went, no, I don't. And he was like, yeah, you have to. All the dealers have to take one. They have to take one California EV. And I went, no. That motorcycle was obsolete in 1998. There's no fucking way I'm taking that motorcycle. Yeah, you got to take one. And the good news is we've got the custom two-tones left. And I was like, the custom two-tones left? And I said, do you mean the ketchup and mustard? And he goes, no. It's burnt sienna and blaze or something. And I was like, it is failure. It is just failure. It is everybody hates you failure. Yeah, but they got a $2,000 discount on them. They could be free. I don't want anything to do with them. and they languished on dealers' floors.
I mean,
they
dude,
were
they're
awful.
so offensive that could turn people out of your store.
It could turn people away from our store.
Yeah.
It is that motorcycle is fucking hard to look at. And I want to just, for the sake of argument, tell you that this is what it turned into. This is the bike that it became, which is not hard to look at.
No.
Right.
It's a beauty.
So the California 1100 turned into this, 10 years later, right? That's what happened. That's when you get a good designer. That's when somebody gets hired who just saves the fucking day.
Yeah.
That's what happened. And that's a good-looking motorcycle.
That's the other side of the coin of that Diavel you were showing.
Yes!
Yeah. That's a good-looking,
that's
muscle-looking
That
bike.
is a muscle
That's
bike.
a classic, yeah.
Can I get that rear tire?
Yeah.
Sure you can, $500.
Right there. There it is.
Just like
Exactly.
downtown.
And that's my point is when you compare a 2014 Moto Guzzi California 1400 to the 1998 to 2003 California 1100, you see how how far Moto Guzzi came.
Look at the design, man. Like
Yeah.
when you look at that pipe,
Yeah.
like the pipe is at a perfect angle.
It's-
Like even the slope of it compared to where like the other stuff, they really thought that out, man.
And when you put a human on this and the bike sacks out a little bit, it looks even better.
Yeah.
It really does. Yeah.
Well, Guzzi had a really, really bad problem from about the Le Mans 3 to about the current, the previous edition, the bike you just showed.
Yeah.
From about that period of time where I don't know who was designing
Pull it
it.
up if you want.
I don't know who they had in their design department, but they needed to fire them in like 1987.
Yeah, you're right.
Because the only good bike that ever came out was the 1000S, which was literally just the 850 Le Mans continued on, which we never got.
we never got that bike.
So does the gas tank like 10 gallons or how big is it?
I don't know, but you're right. It should be. It should be 10 gallons.
And the really horrid truth is, if underneath that bike, it literally is a T-frame.
It's a T-frame motorcycle. It's a perfectly good
It's the
motorcycle.
same
under there.
frame
It looks
under.
like really comfortable handlebars.
John, this is now
Buckhorns. I like those.
Today or yesterday, I sat on this bike in front of Tom. It has a heel toe shifter that people complain about for no end. It has a little footrest on the brake lever, on the foot brake lever. There's a little nubbin back there you can rest your foot on. It has floorboards, okay, like a Harley Davidson. It has an asymmetrical piece of chrome on the right-hand side that shouldn't be there, right? In this area over here, like where my mouse is. You see that area right there? Yeah. There's a triangle piece of chrome that is, honest to God, it's real metal. There's no plastic on this cocksucker. It is a piece of giant steel shark fin that shouldn't be there. I don't know. What the hell? But that's what it is. There's so much chrome on this bike that is not Honda plastic chrome. It's real metal chrome. That it's just there to be like exquisite. It's just there to be Italian. But the tank is so big, it makes those giant jugs look small.
Yeah, it really does.
And those jugs are huge. They're massive, air-cooled
That's
monster jugs.
550 cc's.
550 cc's per side and giant big old heads on them.
Yeah.
It is crazy how big that gas tank is. But I sat on the thing for 20 minutes just sitting there going, they nailed it. The ergonomics are perfect. Because with the new one, my body goes into that C position where my back is shaped like a C. I go into the cruiser riding position that's bad for your lower vertebrae, where your butt is tipped forward and your shoulders are tipped forward. And that's every cruiser bike in the world. You get on this thing, you are not in the C position. You're in a good, natural, upright riding position. And it works. And I sat on the thing and I rode it around the shop and I did little tiny impossibly small figure eights in front of my shop. It's easy to ride. It's super easy to ride. But eventually you're going to see yourself in the reflection of a store window. Right?
You see kids walking home from school laughing at you.
Exactly. Oh, look, you got a Harley on Temu.
Well, I mean, considering we are across the street from a school and Harleys drive past every day and they laugh at them, it's not going to be a strange day.
It's forbidden love, Phil.
It is forbidden love. And that's why when I see my friends at the Guzzi rally who ride these things, they have this innate internal sense of confidence where they're like, I've got the right motorcycle. I love it. It'll run for 300,000 miles.
Oh, yeah.
I love everything about it. It fits perfectly. It'll go 140 miles an hour. It's fast as shit off the blocks, and it's got a shaft drive I'm never going to have to adjust.
Well, your friend, the sidecar monkey, she was riding
Andrea Blake.
was riding the Basso.
She was riding the Basso, which the Basso is the Italian word for low.
Yeah.
So they took this exact motorcycle and made it a wee bit lower.
Oh,
Right? That's the Basso.
Because I looked at
this bike.
Because I literally looked at you.
But
and was
it's
like,
a little lower.
I was like, the Basso's the one I forgot.
The
'Cause I was like,
Basso's the one.
Because it has the Jackal.
'Cause there's the Jackal and the Basso.
aluminum and the
And
Basso.
she's had that forever.
Oh my God, yeah, because it fits her and it works,
Well,
and it's a
and-
great motorcycle.
And their whole family is a Guzzi
They're-
family.
oh God, that whole family. That whole family loves those bikes, and they love.
I think
them
you've
hard.
got takers in the comments section that are ready to throw money at it. So
Take my money.
Yeah,
They did. Moto Guzzi took this particular motorcycle,
stars.
and when Moto Guzzi was kind of running into we need somebody to buy this bike, Moto Guzzi built a version of this bike called the Jackal.
Yep.
And they made a bike called the Jackal in 1999.
Jackal. It's a Jackal.
And
Jackal.
the Jackal. And they took the exact bike that we just looked at.
Yeah.
They put shorter springs on the back. They put cheaper springs on the front. They did pull-back T-bars for handlebars, like you've got on the Springer, right? That's all they did. That's what they did to customize this bike. And they made the paint job a satin paint job. They put black spray paint on the heads, on the valve covers. 1999, Moto Guzzi Jackal.
I usually see them in black.
Yep.
So they're usually a really ugly black, like in front of a
this-
mobile home.
I
The
mean, that
two-
kind of improved
This
it a
is the
little bit,
Jackal.
though, man.
This is the Jackal metal, I think
I
they call
like
this
the other
one.
one.
Yeah.
Well, they
the
had
Jackal
the
aluminum.
aluminum and the steel
Steel
and
ja-
stone.
Yeah.
Stone was the other one. That
I
they
think
had
this
as
is
their
the
model lines.
I
titanium.
feel like you have to carry a gun when you ride it. Though. It just seems like you
But
need
it
to
has
have the club pocket, you know?
75 horsepower, 68 torques. Yay.
Yeah, fun bike.
Good bike, good numbers. Yeah, that was the Jackal. And that is what you can do with the bike I got for $500 is you can jackalfy it. Or you can jackal it off.
Oh no. This bike has to be old man to hell. Like it's got
Could
the
you
leather
farkle
bags
your
on the
Jackal?
What's that?
Could you farkle your Jackal?
Somebody's already farkled my Jackal.
back. It totally needs.
it came pre-farkled.
It needs the beetle bags to replace those leather things.
It has Hepco Becker luggage on the back, which, as you know, is expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's Hepco Jekyll real fucking rhino hide. Like it's moo cow leather. It's thick, probably buffalo. It's really thick, real heavy leather with a intricate German locking system and the whole deal. Wow.
You know what you could do to improve the look of that?
Yeah.
Like the stunt bike guys do, just beat the fuck out of that gas tank.
Oh, just
No. This is
make it dented up like a golf ball.
this is like
Yeah.
this is like owning an old Fiat. You're just gonna keep it and polish it every now and again.
If you ever get the urge to customize it, though, you'd have to do that thing where, like, you cut the gas tank on the side and then flip it. So that it dimples
scallops,
in.
deep scallops, deep scallops, reverse scallops.
That'd be all right.
Well, considering, like I said, you can put the the new V7 tank onto this thing with minimal work.
Yeah, well,
But
again,
then you got to change the tail light.
I
Or the
think
taillights.
I think at this point you just have to celebrate it for what it
Exactly.
is.
I think you should just ride the shit out of it.
Right.
See?
Exactly.
Says
Yeah.
the man with the
Yeah.
what is that? You don't have the Savage. What's the other thing you have?
Intruder.
That's it. The Penetrator.
Well, so what Tom's talking about,
Intruder's comfortable.
this is what Tom's talking about. Go ahead and throw this up. So this is something that you can make out of that bike. So what Tom's talking about is this. Because
that's
it's
not offensive.
this is my point.
Well,
Right.
I mean, the frame under that V11 literally is the Le Mans 3 frame.
It's Le Mans 3 frame. It's the T frame.
So it
That's
kicks
what you
up
got
in the
going on
rear
there.
just
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Now
So-
that's a little bit extreme. They've actually made a subframe.
They made a
for that.
subframe for it, yeah. But that's kind of what can be done, and this is what guys used to do when they got those 1100s cheap and they wanted to make
Yeah.
a cafe bike out of it. That's how you did the job. That's how you get the job done.
Enjoy it as is.
Or that's what it is, John. Is you enjoy it like it is, and honestly, it is super comfortable.
And as cheap as V7,
you can come by and ride it whenever
Yeah.
you want. It's a really, really nice bike to ride.
as cheap as V7s are now, you don't have to do that kind of thing
No,
anymore.
you don't. They fixed the problem,
Yeah.
and with the Guzzi and the V7
I'm just
now
looking,
being
just forget about the aesthetics and just be like, it's a great
Just
little
ride it.
bike.
It's a cool
Yeah.
bike.
And the Guzzi, the V7 now is 850 cc's.
Yeah.
So now that's 70 horsepower.
Yeah.
So, and it's way fucking lighter.
I mean,
Yeah.
the only reason they haven't stamped Le
Well, you
Mans
just said
down-
that has 76 horsepower.
Exactly. That's the point. I'm like,
It's double-
That's an
double the
1100
cylinders.
cc. This is, yeah. So they're, for people that might want that same kind of power, you can do so now with a hell of a lot less cc's.
Yeah.
So that's fine. I was just like walking, just crawling over this fucking bike and being like the details, like the taillight is just sculpted. The taillight is literally a piece of art.
Like I said,
and you're like,
damn. It literally is ostentatious.
It is ostentatious.
I mean, it's not gaudy.
It's not vulgar.
Ostentatious.
It's not gaudy. It is definitely an Italian thing. And at first I was like, oh, this is what happens when an Italian spends too much time looking at a Harley Davidson.
Absolutely.
And I was like, okay, that seems fair. Oh, Tanukis up, drink.
We talk about the R1200C and how hideous it is as a motorcycle, and this is in that same vein. It's just not hideous; it's just ostentatious.
It's just a lot of curves too. There are a lot of curves on that motorcycle, and if the gas tank was 35% less curvy, or less
bulbous,
Rubenesque,
that'd be a good bike for Bruce Gordon.
That gas tank looks like the top of that airplane. You know the airplane that looks like a beluga?
Yeah. The guppy?
Yeah.
Yeah, the guppy. That, I mean, it does. It does have that look. There aren't a lot of great angles for this motorcycle, unfortunately. That's the thing. You can pull up a picture here, and this is a good example of what happens when you take the rear suspension out and shorten it up a whole lot. Yeah.
Oh, no, that did not make it better.
It did not make it better.
That's like those trucks, those idiots in California.
That's a Bassa. That's a fair Bassa. That's a Bassa right there.
Actually made the tank look bigger.
It did make the
I don't know how, but
two
somehow
things.
it worked.
Don't ever let her wear white.
Do you know what that looks like?
And it looks like she's dragging her tail through the dirt.
It looks like a Ridley.
Oh, it does look like a Ridley.
It looks like it's, you know.
Yeah, it looks. It's a V11 Bassa. It's a V11 Bassa in white. And it does, I got to tell you, it looks like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Woman. It's just over and it looks like a Looney Tunes bike. Like somebody painted a cartoon, Bugs Bunny bike.
It did not help the bike
I like
at all.
it.
It did not. I'll take two. You're too tall for that bike, Chris. That is, yeah. So that's it. So I just want to bring that up. That was my big thing. Just thought that was cool. That was it. That's been a podcast, boys.
Yeah,
Don't know
I
how
think
long that
so.
lasted. How long did that last?
2 hours and 33 minutes.
We are fucking reliable. We're
Dude.
bringing that shit in.
That's the way it works.
I love it. Big shout out to Creative Riding Podcast. If you are not listening to Creative Riding Podcast, give Junkie a listen. He just continues to bring the thunder. If you want a podcast where you're going to learn something, and he's good at what he does, he's very, very fun to listen to. We ran into him at the AIM Expo. He showed up, nicest guy on the planet by far, and just super cool. I had to spend a lot of time on the road on Monday, so I got to rip through a ton of podcasts. I'm convinced now that Moto is just taking shots at us because they're literally hoping to stimulate some some WWE action.
Are they
going
riding
on
our
here
tail?
right now.
They want to start a beef.
They ran our tailcoats.
They spent 41 minutes saying that the BMW R9T was the worst motorcycle ever created. 41 minutes.
Them's fighting words.
And
know what?
neither one
You
of
know
them
what?
has ever ridden one.
You know what? They get to ride the V11 from now on. Whenever they come to visit, V11.
So are they not just kind of shitting on the bikes that we talk about?
I think they might be. No, I think it's whatever I get. So if I get a motorcycle, then it becomes the worst bike of the week the following week.
He just bought 4 Moto Marinis. Suck
Right.
it.
Exactly. Go. Worst bike of the week, Moto Marini STR. Yeah, that's exactly. Yes. But it was funny because I was like, man, they just really hate the R9T. They can't stand the R9T. They're going on about how much they hate the R9T. And I'm like, the R9T has been a hugely successful platform for 10 years for Guzzi. And it is not a
BMW.
For BMW. It is not a leftover pile of parts that they built a bike out of. It is an answer to a very clear question about, we want a cafe racer. And they fucking built a motor, a big honkin' motor, and a motor transportation system. And you were right, by the way. I looked it up. When you said it was the fastest something.
It's in the top 25 of fastest production bikes, I believe.
0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds.
Yeah, it's a fast bike.
So take that. I mean, clearly one of the worst bikes in the world. If they've sold them for 10 years.
Well, it's BMW. They don't keep bad bikes around. They can't.
The R65 didn't hang around very long, right?
They got about 5 years.
The R80 had a short run, right?
Yeah.
Relatively
the
short run.
ST didn't last very long in America.
The ST didn't last long in America. They do know when they've been beat. 10 years into this platform.
You know what BMW likes? money.
And they keep feeding into it too.
Dude.
Like they keep giving different versions
Yeah.
of the R9T. So
The
I
guy
don't know.
paid good money for a gyro. His point is irrelevant, right? Like at that
He
point,
does deliver the fuck out of some pizzas.
Yeah, that's
and he has balls as big as church bells.
Yeah, I give him that too.
I will absolutely give him. I'm not taking anything away.
No,
I
you
just
can't
noticed
take
a
that away.
suspicious pattern. That's all. It's just odd. It's just a bit.
You know what the worst bike's going to be next week? The Moto Guzzi V11.
Of course it is. Absolutely, it's going to be the most motorcycle, the
and we'll
world's
be like,
worst,
you know what? You're probably not wrong.
world's worst motorcycle of the week. On that one, I'll be like, yeah, we called their attention
way
to
to
it.
go.
We asked for that. Yeah, we stuck our nose up on that one. Yeah, fair enough. All right, but that's it.
No, that'll be their best bike. If we let,
Oh, right. He's right. Psychology.
Oh, because their best bike was the VTX 1300. You're right. That's no, because we're no lovers of the VTX 1300 around here. I mean, we wouldn't say it was the best of anything.
but now if they listen to the podcast, and
Right.
the jig will be up. They'll.
Oh yeah, the jig is totally up. Yeah, and gone. All right, guys, that's it. Ride fast, take chances.
Hold on.
Get us out.
Wait,
Hang
one
on.
second.
Shit, fuck. Oh, I thought Pete gave us our joke. Paul,
That was an additional freebie.
was
He only took tips.
It was the fluffer.
On a golf tour of Ireland, Tiger Woods drives his BMW into a fuel station in a remote part of the Irish countryside. The pump attendant obviously knows nothing about golf and greets him in typical Irish manner, unaware of who the golf pro is. "Top of the morning to you, sir," said the attendant. Tiger nods quick hello and heads to pick up the nozzle, and as he does so, 2 T's fall out of his shirt pocket onto the ground. "What are those?" asked the attendant. "They're called T's," replied Tiger. "Well, what on God's earth are they for?" "They're for resting my balls when I'm driving," said Tiger. "Feckin' hell," says the Irishman. "BMW thinks of everything."
All right, on that, John, play us out of here.
Bum, 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 bum.
All right, eject, get us out of here. Hit the right button. Yeah, John, you should come by and ride that V11. That thing's, it's not bad.